Hey, what's up, guys? Thank you so much for tuning in today and checking out our next episode of Lordly Caliber. Real quick before we start, I realize now I am a complete idiot and I accidentally hit the stop record instead of the start record for the first little bit of our session today. So some of the in-character reflection for the hero point will be cut out. The rest of it will be there. There will be no interruptions. But I figured I'd let you guys know rather than just drop you in to Joe expositioning with zero context. So yeah, enjoy, guys.
To sabotage the mine. I don't know. He's everything is feeling tired of being I guess lied to. He feels a bit, like I said, just a bit of betrayal, and then also just kind of hurt by the fact that no one trusts him, despite evidence to the fact, like I said, that he wasn't exactly in control of himself.
Fair enough. Take your hero points, sir. And we're missing a player, so I'm all kinds of discombobulated. Evens is Kane. Odds is Van. Odds is Van. You have the floor, sir.
What's up with the big guy being such a pain in the ass, man? He's gets all butthurt just because I follow him down in the mine. It's not that I don't trust him, but what if something happens to him and he needs some help? There's been too many times where, including when I was in a village scouting ahead, and we ended up in a fight where everybody else was far behind. So, I just wanted to make sure that he was doing, that he didn't need any help or anything. So, I mean, what's he expect? We're supposed to be sticking together and everything. So, well, screw him. He can go blow up his mines if he wants to and fall in a hole and, just fucking be that way. I got better things to do.
Sad, but do take your hero point. All right, Kane, take us home.
Yo, I'm dealing with a lot of newfound trust issues. I don't think I can trust Ender. I don't think I can trust a lot of the people I'm traveling with, frankly. But I don't think I can trust that Enderling fella. No, sir. He needs to be watched. I spent a lot of money. A lot of money. More money than I think I've ever seen in my entire life. Yeah, that's all I got. I'm sorry.
Man, fair enough. You're fine. Take your hero point. And before we dive in, how many things? 3 things. First thing, and I need to hand these out more. I keep saying I need to hand them out more. So you guys, if somebody does something cool, petition for them, because I always, I'll get to 30 minutes after the session and be like, I should have done this. Enderling receives 1 action point for doing what he could to destroy the mine. Lucia receives 1 action point for what we're about to resolve. She did homework outside of the week and sent me questions for a commune that give me time to put stuff together as a GM, and doing that is awesome. So Lucia receives 1 action point. And Colin, if you're watching, and I hope you are because I may forget, Xander receives 2 action points. The first one is for willingly attacking a CR28 creature at level 7. And surviving. Well, the survival didn't matter. You can have the action point posthumously, I guess. And the second one is for, again, sending me a bunch of stuff you wanted to do in your 2 weeks of downtime. Speaking of his 2 weeks of downtime, as soon as the portal to the Dimension of Dreams closes, you guys all see Xandu comes out carrying this kitsune, and he just kind of takes off in the direction of the healers. The healers see what's going on. Mercutio sees what's going on. They all meet together, and then a portal to the demiplane where Mustafa has the oasis set up opens, and Xandu, for the next 2 weeks, essentially, dips into there. Before we entirely pass the floor over, I will resolve Donald's... where is Donald? Here's Donald. We will resolve he cast Commune, and he has 6 questions he would like me to answer. We will do so now. First question... First question, is the Rat Lich a threat to Asmodeus's plans in the region? Now, Commune that's weal or woe, correct?
It's a yes, no, maybe hint to something. It's more of a vague answer how commune is used.
Okay, fair enough.
Yes or no. If a yes or no would be misleading, you may use a phrase no more than 5 words to essentially give an answer, not surpassing yes or no again.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, so first question, is the Rat Lich a threat to Asmodeus' plans in the region? As you ask your imp this, your imp probably like eye rolls so loud everyone across Kadira can hear it, and even before the commune is cast, your imp tells you no. Second question, is there a devil in hell who can tell me more about the Rat Lich and his past? That would be a yes. Yeah, I'm sure there would be. Third question, is there any record in Hell's records about the Libris Mortis? That is a resounding, definitely for certain, absolutely for sure, yes. Oh no, now we're going to hell. It can only get worse from here. Question 4, is the Rat Lich phylactery not on the material plane? To make that not be unleading, it is unknown. Fifth question, does the rebellion against Taldor's forces hinder Asmodeus' overall plans? Again, that's just a big eye roll and no. Final question, is it possible through dealing with one of Lorcan's vampire servants to become a vampire through making a deal with them? I'm gonna say ask me at like level 14 or 15 and we'll see where we're gonna go with subtypes from there. I know that's cheating commune, but you understand.
I understand it's a template. Just thought my character, one of her deities is a vampire infernal lord, so I thought maybe a deal down the road. It's just something. And plus with the conjuration spell, if I just use the gold, I can actually just pay a devil in how to actually get me
To
the
bite me.
information. Well, it is paying labor down there.
Fair enough. Like I said, give me like 10 levels and we'll see. But that's all the housekeeping we need to do. The floor belongs to you guys. Awkward silence.
One thing that I would like to take care of, assuming we're going to have some time to rest up a bit once we get out of the mines.
You guys had rested
I
for 8
would-
hours last session. It's like 4 in the afternoon right now.
Oh, okay. So are we going to have any downtime before pack up camp? Because I have something that I want to do.
That is up to you guys entirely.
I don't even know what we're doing at this point. I mean,
I think we just came out of the mines.
yeah, and somebody just came out of La La Land and big guy still has his head up as you know where. So, like, what are we doing? What are we doing here, man?
I have the same question.
Who are we? Are you speaking to Chaos right now?
Or are we speaking to the GM?
Because that's what. Yeah.
Poke's just kind of
Whoever answers.
It's just
Yeah,
whoever
Poke-
jumps on it.
Poke's kind of wondering out loud because he doesn't really at this point want to ask Enderling / Chaos any direct questions, and he's sort of got his back turned to him, talking loudly enough that Enderling can hear him, and then kind of peeking over, and he's kind of befuddled by this whole dream thing, and guy gets his daughter and runs off, and about the only thing he can depend on at this point is Lucia being evil. So
It's like death and taxes.
exactly.
Well, from my point of view as the GM, this is like, I'm not going to say open world, but it's pretty open world. You guys have the general like quest heading of help the rebellion, do what you can, fight Imperial forces, things of that nature. There's nothing saying you stay on this map. You guys have proven on like 4 occasions that you can teleport wherever you please. So like if it's time to be done with this part, we can be. But it's like there are also no like direct definitive overhead like quest headings.
Right.
But I feel like we knew what we were doing up until now. There was always something to deal with.
wasn't the original plan for us to drag the conflict out to have some type of a peace? So wouldn't getting the Taldor forces to come more into a battlefield of our choosing be the best choice?
I don't know that I belong on a battlefield, though. You know?
I do know which one I'd pick, though.
One with lots of trees.
Yes.
No streets.
Any suitably large forest.
Well, it seems like the here the thing we run into is overheating all the time. That doesn't seem like where we want to stay. I'm all for getting the refugees into a safe place.
And you guys do have like 300 or so people from Kabila that are following the army. They've begun, like, they know which end of the spear is the pointy end that goes in the bad guys, and which end is the not pointy end that they can hold on to, but that's about it.
So is it possible to get these get these refugees into a safe zone in, I can't remember the one, the place is blinking me where Adam character went to guard.
That is, it's known as the orchard, and it's essentially just a giant out-of-place apple orchard, and it's probably like about like 4 or 5 days ish the east off the map, like if you followed the road at Fort Lee goes east.
So the area, are there any safe zones where the Taldor forces will not kill the civilians? I'm just trying to think where we can take them.
Give me some kind of check.
Knowledge geography.
Okay.
So I think it's the right train of thought. Because
Yeah.
the longer we keep these folks, the more food they eat, and we have to keep them safe.
Yeah, the thing is, with such large amount of people, is we're painting a giant target on us, and I don't like that. And plus, getting these people to a safe zone is the best chance for them to actually surviving.
So on a 19, 20, we'll say a 23, we'll say there's a lot of aid and others going on there. Well, definitely Pogue. That's Pogue's MO. But it stands to reason they could shelter in the mine. Of course, if that mine has Darklands access, then there's who knows what's going to come up and grab them. Probably worse things than cave giants for sure. There are several forests that you could hide people in. There are even like going back in some of the towns, or if you wanted to fortify around Fort Ligos, it's not the worst idea. Again, it's you're fighting forces that can teleport in and out. You're fighting forces that like. I won't say you're outgunned because you guys know you guys are powerful, but in terms of like troops versus troops, they will have the better equipped, better trained troops. So
Then Enderling,
go ahead, Joe.
Enderling would pose the question of what makes the Taldorans want to stay here.
Okay. Give me some kind of knowledge check.
No, I'm not asking the GM. I'm asking everyone.
Okay, I see.
Socratic method here. Tell me.
Let's see, they don't
Says the
like...
Norse troll monster. Let us consider Socrates.
Let's see, they don't like the rebels and want to put them
I'm
down.
not asking what they don't like. I'm asking what they're staying here for.
To put the rebels down? Or for resources?
No, I'm asking, like, so the resources, we deprive them of resources. How do we do that? We can destroy the mines, but they can just dig new mines.
Okay.
Well, if we can't deny them resources, at least not reliably, especially since they can teleport and conjure their own supplies.
If we can only sabotage the forces so much before it becomes more of a taxing feat for us. That's one way to.
How much do you think it would cost them? And I'm not asking for an exact dollar amount, but how much do you think it would cost them to have to bring in labor to dig out this mine again if we were to collapse it completely?
Let's see, if using my character knowledge, would it be possible to have the Taldor wizards and magic users to use the magic spells on their list to do this?
Make knowledge checks.
Knowledge Arcana, but I'm pretty sure there's spells for this.
They all have horns of blasting.
How much does it cost to operate a horn of blasting? Is the question. How much does it cost to use Move Earth? Again, I'm simply asking this not for a specific dollar amount, but I'm simply trying to prove a point
Okay, I
that I'm
understand.
going to get to here in a second.
It would be more costly to actually get the mine in working order than it's actually worth at the current moment to them.
So they would, if the Taldans came down and wanted to clear the mine, they have definitely powerful enough spellcasters to just like blow the rocks apart and make another tunnel, or even like it's not out of their wheelhouse to get something like a bullet, say, and have it just like burrow another hole and eat all the dirt that's in the way, that kind of thing. Also, again, when you guys had gone down, a lot of the stuff is like very, very well carved into the stone, and it's not unheard of for the dwarves of the Five Kings Mountains, who basically just live in the Darklands at this point, to like hire themselves out to whoever, and they definitely know, they know what they're doing and how to do it. So in terms of like a monetary cost, it's probably a little more along the lines of like a pride cost. You're dealing with an empire that's stood for thousands of years, and now like their nose is bloody, essentially.
Well, it's still going to cost them money. The question I'm asking is how much would they be willing to pay to bring in their own labor, to bring in their own way of getting supplies in and out? The reason I'm saying this is, if the people are against them, what do they have here to gain? They'll have to do everything themselves. They won't have any. They'll have to defend themselves from rebels. They will have to pay for the cost of transporting things through teleportation, because trying to bring everything through on roads is going to be incredibly difficult every time their bridge gets burned down.
Mm-hmm.
And trying to, they're going to have to pay a lot of money.
So you're asking, how do we make this a Pyrrhic victory for them?
Yes. How do we make it too costly for them to win? They can win, there's no doubt about it. But how do we make it so costly to the point that it'll be a pointless victory?
This is an idea. How about we hurt them where it actually matters? So when it comes to allies, such as the Dwarves, we convince them not to aid the Taldors, or we cause rebellion, civil unrest in their terrain, so they need to think twice if they want to advance to get the victory they want.
Those are two things I was thinking of.
That is entirely
almost
possible.
exactly. If we can turn away the things that they're using, such as the people of the land and the people without their empire, outside of their empire, against them, then it'll be, like I said, too costly for them to continue.
Well, there's always economic terrorism.
Real quick, I realized I did a thing. I said Five Kings Mountains, but that doesn't apply to everybody. Everyone who's not Enterling knows that as the Five Kings Mountains, but like under the mountains, deep down where the dwarves live, Enterling would know that as Svartalheim. Anyway, that's all I had to say.
Also, there are economic warfare we can do, but if we're going to, for short term, if we want to make this work, I can, to a certain extent, cause a short-term rationing for the Taldor forces by AKA using curses to make sure the plants field do not grow properly, or it takes longer, or the food is not good, or something like that. So cause a minor famine to cause more unrest.
So you could do that, but remember that the Taldor really don't care about the people here.
No,
And
it's within. It is within their own territory. They have to deal with such issues if we do cause trouble there.
That one I can get behind. Instead of dancing around here in the desert, go back to Taldor. I like your idea. Let's hit them where it hurts. Say we cut their nuts off.
Cut their nuts off.
How exactly? I'm on board with wilting crops.
This actually remind Lucia one time when she was reading up on the art of war, or what would be a Galorian equivalent of Sun Tzu.
I'm sure Tianza has
there's
a
a
swimsuit.
hobgoblin somewhere.
Yeah, somewhere in Cowling, probably. But to
I
answer the
think-
question we were talking about, again, the north end of the map right here, march an hour up that way, and you're in Taldor. As far as, like, teleporting goes, it's kind of common knowledge. Well, it's either common knowledge or enough rumor that everyone would know. Like, if you wanted to just, like, whoops, we're going to teleport into Opara, you can't, because there's enough, like, counter magic floating around in the Empire that you can't teleport through there unless you have the key to the door, essentially, would be the analogy. So if you guys are wanting to go there, you're going to have to hoof it.
Tommy, so where are the dwarves for the mountain dwarves? If we're going to,
If I'm going to talk, I should make sure I'm not muted. The dwarves of, well, make a knowledge check.
knowledge, history, I guess.
Sure, yeah, that's fine. Okay, so a long time ago, the dwarves lived in the Darklands, and then after the events of Earthfall, they took that as a sign from their god Torog that it was their time to come to the surface of the earth and come forth and be like fruitful. And so they did, and they did for a long time. But when the Empire moved through the areas that they controlled in like the Five Kings Mountains and even parts of like the hold of Belkzen, the dwarves were defeated, like just like everybody else. They were steamrolled over. In present day, they live back in the Darklands. It's easiest to access them from the Five Kings Mountains or like southern Belkzen, but all of the Sky Citadels are held by the Empire. And it would be like, you could maybe teleport. You could teleport into the Darklands. I'm saying you can't. You could teleport down in there, but you would need to like know exactly where you're going, and again, like slip up in the Darklands, and it's really bad for everybody.
Yeah.
I am curious. So, are there maps of the Darklands we can purchase, or are there any known Darkland maps made?
Make another knowledge check.
Let's
Questions
see.
are answered with dice rolls at my table.
I let go with knowledge. His history.
Okay.
I'll throw a knowledge geography check at it.
I mean, I suppose you could ask the interdimensional merchants, but who would draw that map?
Yeah, that is indeed the question.
I'm curious. So, what would Mercutio know about the Darkland maps if we were to go with that route?
Oh, Lucy rolled the same thing basically twice. I was waiting on a dice roll. It never happened.
I go with knowledge of geography, which would be better.
You could maybe come across one, but it's pretty much like in the Darklands, unless you know somebody, if you're a random surface dweller and you wander in, they kill you on sight. So that way, like, it discourages Imperial forces from marching into the Earth, essentially. It's possible the maps probably exist for sure, but you need to find somebody, and even for, like, Mercutio, this is a little harder to pull off because, again, there's just not a whole lot of connection down there. Now, if Adam hadn't dropped and he was playing a Munavri, maybe you had a way in. But
Okay, so do we roughly know where the dwarves are, so we can?
like I said, Darklands under Five Kings Mountains area, which is several days march from where you are. Probably probably turning more over into months, to say nothing of all the like skirmishes you would have to fight between here and there and trying to hide people.
So what do we want to do? I'm thinking we should get the refugees to safety first, and then figure out what the best course of action then.
It makes sense.
I agree.
All right, where are we taking them?
So where would
we're moving around with 1,000 people through the desert. Think about how thinly we're stretching ourselves now, especially considering we have no base of operations.
Is there
if we
any?
Take our people, please. If we take our people who are following us, and we take some of our soldiers, split them off, give them a leader, and let them operate independently with no function that would keep them connected to us. We would have an independent cell moving around, able to move in and out of places that are controlled by the Empire, and able to move around, and if they're attacked, they don't know anything about us. And essentially cause more discord, if you will, within the Imperial holdings of Qadira. Again, refer to the paragraph I left you guys in the chat here.
So you want to splinter off a part of our force to what, basically guerrilla warfare around the desert?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I think we should be doing, and they should be taking the people, the refugees.
I'm not saying that we would also not do it. I'm saying that we should. Our force right now, a bit too large to move around effectively. If we had smaller forces, if we weren't focused on field combat and more of precise attacks on Taldoran infrastructure in the and we were focusing less on trying to build an army and trying to build more of a movement, we would have a position of better.
I agree.
To push what
Political
Joe is
power.
saying, not to push it. I'm not saying everyone do what Joe wants, but to like go with what he's saying. You guys do have a lot of people amongst your forces who are very, very good at guerrilla warfare in the desert. That's how they've been fighting the Empire for generations. What's stopping you from doing that on a like grand scale, unless you were to split up really hard, is the like 500 or so dudes with shields and spears that have a little bit of training, and the extra like 300 that have like just enough to know how to defend themselves.
Well, I think we're all in agreement that we need to take these refugees somewhere that isn't here.
That's true.
The problem
Of
is,
the mind.
where do we take them?
I'd say we integrate them.
There are definitely a lot of people among the refugees who are willing to fight, and at like more than willing. They're chomping at the bit, because Joe made a point when he's talking. Well, I'll just read it. It was really good. The question is, how many of them are sick of it elsewhere in Qadira and the rest of the Empire? A government is no longer legitimate when the people it claims rulership over are willing to die to change it. And that's in addition to the soldiers already with you. Most of the like humanoids who aren't too young or too old would be more than happy to stay and fight with you. Granted, it will take a little bit of time to train them, and you'd have to like pay to gear them. But you definitely like, if these guys are indicative of anything in Qadira or even the rest of the Empire, there's probably a lot of people who'd be willing to take up the cause.
I am with people being with the people mindset want to fight the Taldor forces. If we arm them and have many groups across many fronts, that is a lot of battles that the Taldor forces need to sink resources in. And if we divide their forces and resources in enough, we can use that to our advantage and hit where it actually hurts them.
That is also true. You guys also know, like, since Umil stopped being in this part of Qadira, the Imperials have all just kind of fallen back. They don't seem to have any intention to cross the border. You know, like, there are parts of Qadira that are Imperial controlled, and there will be soldiers there. But like, it's kind of weird that nobody's crossed the border to attack you guys. It's I should also say you've been out here for 6 days, and the only like vague information you guys have received was like 2 seconds in Absalom, where you heard people in a bar talking about how like there's some princeling has risen up in Gault, and somebody's writing treatises of treatises of secession. I cannot speak today, in Andoran and stuff like that, which would like Enderling wasn't here for that session, so it would go to further his point that he's making.
I'm just to clear this out now. So Taldor traded with Absalom. So if we did somehow convince Absalom not to trade with Taldor, is that possible to hurt them?
Make a knowledge check.
Knowledge history, I guess.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, there is no knowledge. Economics
Economics,
in this game.
yeah. Well, maybe like a profession check.
I would
Profession,
also pose the
market,
question
analyst.
to Lucia. How does the Chelish feel about the Chelish where she comes from? How do they feel about the Empire?
Okay,
and
so
its
with my character
position?
knowledge, so how does it how do they feel?
Okay, so first to answer the knowledge history, Absalom has been neutral since the Starstone was raised by Eredin and Absalom was founded. Um, both the Chelish and the Taldans have tried to conquer it, and there have been others as well, but Absalom has always been able to throw off any invaders, and present day, no one really wants to mess with them, partially because they think they're going to lose, partially because, again, Absalom trades with everybody. It's like the biggest stopping point in the Inner Sea before you go anywhere else. To convince them to stop trading with the Chelish or with the Taldans, it's possible. It would take a lot of work on your guys' part, and it probably means a change of hands as far as power is concerned. If you were to do the impossible and invade Absalom and take it for the rebellion, would certainly that would guarantee it. Also, to if you were to install a new ruler, that could work as well. But you'd be at square one trying to figure that out. To answer Lucia's knowledge nobility, the Chelish put up with the fact that they are a client state of Taldor because they have to, because they if they were to not be, the Taldans would just roll over Cheliax and they just crush them, and then they'd back and part of the Empire. Also, Cheliax has a lot of other holdings throughout Galarion that they're a little more concerned with. I don't have a map for it because the map doesn't exist. I'll probably draw something up at some point.
Are you talking about the colonies and other vassal?
What I'm talking about is pretty much all of Arcadia is Chelish.
Oh,
it's
cool.
that whole continent is where you guys get the bulk of your slaves. It's not if anybody's seen someone with red skin or dark black straight hair, or even you guys kind of ran into a skinwalker in Absalom. I kind of was going that way with it, but you guys would know people with lycanthropic heritages who don't look like they're from the lands of the Lenorm kings probably came from Arcadia, and they're probably Chelish slaves. As far as their relationship with Taldor goes, your father promised to not put Chelish soldiers in Qadira, and he signed a contract to that effect. So you imagine he's going to keep it.
So it's probably best to keep Cheliax out of this as much as possible and cause civil strife in Taldor, which I would think is best for everyone. We don't need to have another powerhouse potentially want to attack us afterwards.
It is also worth noting, if Lucia goes back to Cheliax, for one, teleport in Cheliax, it works the same way as it does in Taldor. You need the key to open the door. And for two, if Lucia is caught in Cheliax, there is a lot of gold on her head, and she probably dies really fast, so someone can collect it.
Yeah, even using magic to hide my identity, it only works up to a certain point.
Somebody will have true seeing somewhere. Somebody has a bound devil that will figure you out.
Just need to get her mind blanked.
So what? So the people to safety first, then choose the best course of action. Definitely thinking guerrilla action would work best, as we have the money to arm these people, and they can probably do more good for us in the long run, especially since sending Taldor forces across the many fronts.
Is that her decision? Guerrilla warfare?
That will get us more time to come up with a better plan.
So are
and
we
to allow us
our
to
forces then?
I say we go after Taldor. Get the refugees that can't defend themselves or fight out of the way so that they don't turn into slaves. Turn the other people into bands of guerrillas, and then we go across the border, and we'll go and visit His Highness himself.
I think as long as we have people who can't defend themselves, they're always going to have something over us.
Well, I say
Okay.
we show them a little bit of Calistria's vengeance.
So, if we want to keep the ones that want to fight and train them, are we splintering off our existing forces into smaller groups? If we are splitting them off into separate groups, how many groups?
To refresh you guys, you have it's closer now to like 600 or 700 when you picked up. In addition to Ogruz and Ogruz's the TN woman who follows him around, you have an extra couple hundred that are loyal to her, and you imagine might have been part of like the force she commanded before everything went sideways here. You've got about like 700 people who are essentially your bulk infantry, big wicker shields and spears, and like somebody like 1 in every 10 might be like someone with fighter levels, say, who has a little bit better gear. Then you have, and this is the part where I'm going to open this tab so I cannot screw this up. Then you guys have 200, some of them mounted, well, 200 mounted, 200 not mounted, people who are like nomads that live in this part of the world and even farther east to Kalesh. These guys, again, have been fighting in the method you suggest for years and years and years and years, and they're very, very good at it. These guys, especially like the ones that are mounted, they come from a long, long tradition of horse nomads and mounted combat and things of that nature. They have no problem like going in with a sandstorm and raiding supply lines coming out. Same with the ones that don't have horses, and they can keep up. They are definitely like, when they put their veils on, they are in serious mode, and they can run just as fast as a horse when they are in serious mode. You've got a couple hundred, they're not non-combatants, they can defend themselves, but they've sworn themselves to the Imperial Lord Dalanidra, and Dalanidra is a total pacifist. If you try to go to guerrilla warfare, they'll try to keep up, but they're like, if they get caught in the open or caught in the bush, either way, however you want to swing it, they're probably coming off worse. And then about 300 non-combatants, but there's big air quotes there, and that's actually how big those air quotes are. Okay, the vast majority of them are willing to fight, so there's probably like, I'm gonna say like 50 of them are either too old to fight or too young to fight. The rest of them are all just, they lack the gear, they lack the training, but they can do pretty much whatever you want them to, and they're happy to do it.
It really wants to know, are they too old and too young to fight because of that fact, or are they unwilling to fight?
You can make a check.
Okay, what
That'd
kind
be
of
like
check do you want me to
sense
make?
Up to you. I'm not sure. There's a lot of answers to that question. Sense motive could work, like Sarah's saying. Same with
How about a crit on an intimidate check, asking them the question?
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that'll do it. Okay, it's definitive. You're shouting at children and the elderly.
Oh, that's not nice.
Oh, Enderling, you are such a nice person.
Now, granted, some of the elderly would fight, but like, you would have to be, you're babysitting people who can barely walk if like you're giving them spears and having them follow along, and it's on the other end of that.
I'm not asking them to stand in a spear line. I'm asking them, if a Taldan soldier came up to them, would they slit his throat?
They, like, you ask them this and someone nods, but they nod very feebly, and like their hands shake, and their like super arthritic hands are all like super curled and evil looking. Not to say they're evil, I don't want to go down that rabbit hole, but is that idea. And on the other end of it, it's like you'd be asking an 8-year-old to do it. Not to say they wouldn't, but it's I guess it's kind of the moral quandary there. And again,
Okay,
you're
then
like,
I'll ask them again, are they willing to fight to be free?
they nod.
I killed my first Cheliax noble at the age of 8. They can fight.
Haha.
Oh, I don't agree with any of this.
It seems to me that beyond just getting more people in fighting and in different ways of fighting, that the question of the size of our forces is that we want them to get larger and larger, right? We want to start a movement.
I don't want our forces to become larger and larger.
No.
I want it to be the fact that there's no longer, like, not larger and larger per se, but as much as the fact that there is no one in Qadira, there's no one in Andron, there's no one in Arcadia, there's no one anywhere in the Empire who is willing to work for the Empire, to the point where there's no longer, all they have are the people close to them. They're surrounded by enemies. That's what I'm proposing here.
No, I didn't mean that we have a bigger army. What I meant was that they would have, we train some people and they go and form other branches, and then they go and form other branches or cells or whatever you want to call it. And then that way it's and because they know how to fight, obviously, or some of them do, and they can train others, but getting them to think in terms of a movement, and that they can go on as cells and give them a direction, I think is probably what we can do best for them.
It makes a whole lot of sense. I'll say, as you guys are figuring this out, 3 hours have passed and the sun's starting to go down.
I would probably have my familiar beginning to work on a item while this was going on. So it just would be eyes of the eagle. So it would be like DC 12 to begin working on it.
All right, go ahead and roll.
So we're going north no matter what.
No, that's successful. Also, that's entirely possible that you go north, but you can go anywhere in Qadira or on Galarion.
Well, if we're going to Taldor.
Yeah, Taldor's
I think south is the place we should be going to, because south is where we can get more Qadirans. Or if north you mean we head for Andoran.
Yes.
Because if we can get Andoran to rise up, what really needs to happen, I think our experienced guerrilla warfare soldiers here should be collecting people from the army, doing it, this is out of character, but to have you guys understand, like middle school volleyball style. Like, I'll take Ted, and okay, well, I'll take Jimmy over there or something. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I get you.
Choosing leaders from our experienced soldiers, splitting up our forces to allow them to spread, head them in directions of towns that haven't pledged themselves.
And to go with what Joe's saying, you guys know for sure Augruz and his Warcat are more than capable of covering vast distances by themselves. Same with the Tien woman who doesn't speak common. She seems to be very like she knows how to train horses and may be able to speak with them, is from what you guys have been able to figure out. They probably will want to stay together this whole time they've stayed together. In addition, Medea is probably strong enough to handle herself. She'll want to take her people with her, and you imagine her people will probably follow her. But she's probably it doesn't take a big sense motives check to see that she's been chomping at the bit this entire time. She any comments you guys have made haven't been necessarily met with derision, but basically just her drumming her fingernails against her her bicep, waiting to fight the Empire.
This is what I have in mind. Have the Warcat and Medea go get more allies and get more forces for us, and then we have someone who have a familiar mindset to the Andorans and endurance to get them as an ally.
That's probably
That's what I'm
among the group. You could probably also send Mercutio, but Mercutio doesn't seem to be much of a fighter so much as I'll pay you lots of gold if you'll follow me, and then suddenly you're in a rebellion. Also, I don't remember her name. I'm brain farting, but Pogue is in a relationship with a gnome, and that gnome, she was an ex-Eagle Knight as well. It's a matter of finding her. Same is true for the bartender and the tiefling alchemist. The goblin died, but the other two are MIA somewhere.
And Pogue is from
Casimir.
Casimir, yeah.
But that's that's right on the border, I'm pretty sure.
Right, exactly. So, I'm sure that Enderling would be fine if we worked our way south to a port city and then took a boat to Casimir.
I think it would be fine if we worked our way to a port and took a boat all the way back up to Kalsgard.
Her name is Nira.
Speaking of which,
for the record,
there are people outside of the Empire we could draw in as well. I'm sure there are plenty of people I'm sure there's been plenty of people in the land of the Linorm Kings who would love to come down here and show the Southerners how to fight.
Mm-hmm. Well, make a check, Joe. Make a knowledge check.
What kind of knowledge check do you want? I have Arcana and Nature.
Oh.
Well, how about the nature of the North?
Make it local, but you have bonuses because you're from there. Consider it trained, I guess.
I need to remember the fact that I'm not.
The thing with the gold we have, we could pay mercenaries, but dealing with mercenaries, that's another issue altogether, which we may or may not want to deal with.
We don't have enough gold to pay for enough mercenaries.
You would need quite a few, yeah. Okay, so Enderling's knowledge check. The Ulfin will fight for whoever pay them the most amount of money. It's not uncommon for the Chelish to cross the border, and the border of Cheliax's holdings do run like right up to the border with the lands of the Linorm Kings. So it's not uncommon for someone to like go missing one day and you assume like they were abducted and now are a slave somewhere. I'll go even farther and say like to avoid that slavery, it's not uncommon for the Ulfin to sell them, well, like to sell their services in war. Like the idea being they think that if they do that, their families are safe. And then on the other side of that, you've got plenty of people that just want to kill and get a lot of money in preparation for Ragnarok. It's a very, 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 very obscure religion, but the old Norse traditions of planet Earth are alive and well in the lands of the Linorm Kings. They might not be the dominant thing, but there's plenty of people up there that worship them, and there are plenty of Ulfin who just want to fight every single solitary day so they can be ready on the last day.
Well, if the Ulfin will fight whoever pays them the most, we just can't compete with the kind of gross domestic profit of another kingdom.
That is entirely true.
Yes. But I imagine there are certain kinds of people in the land of the Linorm Kings we can find who have the charisma. He says he's not even here. I don't know what I was thinking. I would like to point out the fact that I can't think of his name. Callanran exists.
He does exist.
And
you guys
I'm not
haven't seen him in a
talking
while.
Paying him, I'm talking about he's treated kind of as a hero, and if he's changed at all, he'll see it our way, and maybe he will consider the fact that there are plenty of people, like I said, in the north who well, first of all, if it's true that people are being taken from our lands, taken to the Chelish, they won't be happy about that.
Maybe Callanran is willing to earn his kingdom.
It's entirely possible. I will also say that as far as the Ulfin go, Torvald is out here somewhere. You haven't seen him, but you know he's here, and you know, like, he had enough of a clout at the Hof that there'd be enough people willing to follow him wherever for the same idea as everyone else, just because they're prepping for Ragnarok, and to do that means being stronger than everybody, and that means killing everybody, essentially. But, like, they would do it with more of a sense of honor and not just for the money. Exactly how many is, well, you know, like, all of your cousins and stuff have come out. Like, the entire Madsen family have come to join the rebellion. Even, like, again, the entire inn has been uprooted and hangs out in a demi-plane now. But, like, you could ask Torvald, too, if you could find him.
So that's another possibility, is bringing ourselves some berserkers from the north.
Well, okay. Does that mean... Are you suggesting we send an emissary up that way, or that we all go?
It's up to you guys. I'm simply saying we have a lot on our plate.
Sending a emissary would be best.
By that same logic, also, Francis could try to get in contact with the Order of the Leaf. They would... It's a little less on, like, they're raring to go to fight people, but, like, he has contacts outside of the Empire. Lucia and Emeritus both, like, have burned their bridges pretty hard. Xandu might, but Xandu's not here right now.
All I have to do
might
is
as well.
convince the Order of the Leaf that the Empire is committed to a mass effort of deforestation.
Quick, burn the trees. Make a bluff check.
Burn down our trees and replace them with streets.
Nobody wants that.
I'm curious. So, would it be possible to get financed by the by any of the Cheliax nobles that I know, or would they be willing to risk that?
I'll let
To-
you roll, but it's really unlikely. Another hour has passed. It's well and truly nighttime now.
I don't like agriculture either. They're planted in rows. It's unnatural.
Okay, Donald. It's probably more likely that you extend the finger to connect, and then the arm gets bitten off because somebody wants the millions of gold that are on your head.
Okay,
It is
so-
entirely possible. Maybe, but odds are it's like if Lucia goes back to Cheliax, Lucia needs to go back to Cheliax with lots and lots of minions behind her, or she's in trouble.
or do something to sufficient enough to get the bounty removed somehow, some way.
That is also true. Yeah.
So Cheliax is out of the way. So let's get to the allies we can easily get to. So go with the berserkers and the green face people.
As this has been going on, the people that are raring to go to fight have all been training, and they have basic sharpened quarterstaves. Essentially, there's people have talked to Mercutio about gearing them out, and he just kind of turns his pockets out. He doesn't have the money to do it.
Tommy, I'm curious. So for equipping the troops, does it say cost for gear?
Everything has 1,500 extra gold.
It'd be the price of whatever you want to get them times 300, essentially.
If they're a guerrilla force, you don't want them walking around with weapons.
Well, yes, you do. They're a force.
Well,
You don't want them walking around in full battle regalia playing
Right.
their trumpets, but you want them armed.
right. But I mean, yes, like that, but not in a way that is really obvious.
Mhm.
Well, if they're a guerrilla force, you don't want them walking around in the open at all.
Right.
Exactly. Well, we're in the desert. They can walk around in the open. They just can't walk around in the open near the enemy's camps.
Right.
So the entire desert is the open.
Just one more reason to leave the fucking desert.
Mm-hmm.
Henry agrees.
I want to get out of the desert as quickly as we can. The sun doesn't do much good for Lucia. Lucia complexion.
It's probably pretty cold right now, though, because another hour has passed, like I said, and the sun's down.
Poe's like, no shit, it's making me look my age too.
All right,
People
so-
begin to start setting up bedrolls and things of that nature. Though you guys have been talking the whole time, most of the people that are here have been sparring and training, and a lot of them are well and truly wore out.
It would cost us about 300 gold to get 300 short spears.
That is true.
And then for armor, if we go with the what armor proficiencies do they have exactly? I'm just thinking
Probably none.
light armor.
They probably have simple weapon proficiency, and that's it.
Short spear is a simple weapon.
Mm,
Armor, I mean, I imagine we could put them in.
Leather tunics or something.
yeah.
I'd rather
well-
put him. I'd rather give him long spears.
We could probably put them in padded armor. Give them all kilts.
There you go.
Here we go again.
and
Just
they
a whole lot of domcots.
Yeah.
shields.
We need to teach all these Osirians how to fight. Give them kilts.
Shields is out the option because they are not trained with shields yet.
But they could be. By that same logic, they could be trained with to do other things with other people. Hell, if you wanted to put them in with the priests of Dalanidra, they could. But by and large, these guys just want to fight.
Okay, so there's
Are we
300
talking-
people we need to outfit.
Okay,
Are we talking about
I am-
just guerrilla warfare or setting up resistance movement.
if we are giving them what could be possibly the best-ish light armor. If we go with the studded leather armor, that's 25 gold per person. They go with a long spear and a shield of some kind. So would I think that would be about 30 gold per person? Am I correct? For 30 gold.
So 9,000 gold.
I believe that is
And
enough,
then-
yeah.
And
What's
then,
that? What did you say was the percentage of people in the non-combatants that weren't children or old people?
It's maybe like 50 of them.
So 150 people
More like
that
250.
Francis is comfortable
Yeah.
with.
Okay, so they have a shield. They have a long spear armor. If we train them to use a bow, what type of bow do we want to give them that is good enough when it comes to guerrilla tactics?
Whichever one's cheapest.
Bow.
Yeah.
Short
Yeah, probably
bow.
just standard.
You might be better off, honestly, just giving them like slings or javelins.
Yeah, slings are free, and they're probably not going to be shooting at things that are more than 50 feet away.
Yeah, let go with javelins and slings.
Most of them probably have slings now, and they even like kind of like crappy short bows from like people that will go out and hunt.
Yeah.
Okay, if we go with bows, then a simple short bow would work. But I'm just thinking guerrilla tactics. Would that be best? Short bows?
Well, they wouldn't be able to use bows if they only have simple weapon proficiency.
Yeah. Slings.
Yeah, slings are probably the
Slings.
way to go.
Let's
Again,
go.
we're not outfitting them to fight the Taldorans. We're outfitting them to fight the people that are helping the Taldorans.
Yeah, we're outfitting them to ambush people on the road, basically.
Okay, so
Slings and padded armor.
Yeah, that's
Okay,
right.
Reinforced
pretty
tunics
much-
are cheaper.
That's what your bulk infantry are equipped with by and large, anyway.
So we have armor, long spear, and slings. What about other resources besides for weapons? Do we want to give them extra money so they can actually spend it on resources that they would actually need?
You're thinking like a noble.
Yeah, I am just thinking.
Spending
weapons
everybody
that-
else's money. No.
Well, I am just thinking if we give them extra gold, and I'm willing to actually put my money where my mouth is, and have them more useful gear they can actually buy besides just for weapon use only. So if I give the unit about 1,000 gold, would that be enough to cover most or any miscellaneous gear that they would need when it comes to traveling purposes or just for venturing purposes?
It's possible.
I mean, do we have to pay for their food?
I am just thinking rations. Let's see, the 1,000 gold I'm be giving, that should cover the food for some time, and what miscellaneous costs they would come across as well.
that is true.
With all due frankness, the Taldorans and anyone in Kadira who's decided to betray us, or who's decided to betray us, is paying for their food.
They're gonna earn it.
Mhm.
I do not give out my money to people and not expect something back. So if they work to actually deserve it, then sure, they can have it as long as they're allies and not betray us.
Another couple hours pass as you guys deliberate. You guys and like the people keeping watch around the mine are probably the only people still awake at this point. Though you guys rested in like the early morning and through the early parts of the afternoon, and like you're not necessarily tired. Everybody else is.
So it's
say
only
we
going to cost
rested.
600 gold to outfit all of them with slings, short spears, and reinforced tunic armor.
Why is it taking us so long to say all of this?
For the
Are we
purpose
speaking really slowly?
No. It's just to keep.
I feel like these are probably
Hey.
highlights of a conversation that we've been having in a pavilion tent for the last 12 hours.
That's probably the last 4 or 5. 6 hours. This has been 6 hours.
Okay, so so if I forward 1,000 gold to cover food and miscellaneous gear that they need, and 600 gold for the gear, is that everything covered for the unit?
It could be. It's a good
Wanna give 'em
start, I
something
will
else.
say. Yeah, you can spend your gold on whatever you want to spend your gold on to outfit whoever. It's definitely a good start. And Joe makes a good point. If this is guerrilla warfare, they will take their food from the farms they burn.
Yeah, and with the extra 1,000 gold, with the 1,000 gold they have, they can get better gear that they think they need as well.
Yeah.
So if I put,
It's Lucia's money.
so I'm just thinking, I would probably invest the money into better armor. So probably, so
Well,
they're
remember, they're
about.
not the most apt with.
Armor.
Yes, so
You take peasants and turn them into knights, then you're in trouble. You take peasants
just
and you
gonna
turn
be-
them into spearmen and yeomen, then you're in better shape.
Mhm.
we're just going to be throwing like padded armor on them, reinforced tunics.
Okay, so I probably will just put 400 gold in to round it to about 1,000 gold for that unit to have for cover cost for weapons and gear they need.
Okay.
Reinforced armor, short spear, sling, 1,000 gold provisions.
All right. So
Yeah, it
you
would
do
be,
this. Mercutio, you give him the money, and he. It doesn't take him a whole lot of time to produce that from the multiverse. He kind of just throws the sack of gold into another big portally bag of holding, and then shortly thereafter, here come a whole bunch of simple weapons and armor and stuff like you requested. I will say he is also awake as well. He's the only named NPC who's up. Everybody else is asleep, and it's just kind of the random dude standing watch.
Okay. So serious question. Are we splintering our forces into smaller groups?
That does
I
seem to
think
be
we
the next
should.
question.
Yes.
How many?
Splinter them into 4 groups.
Okay. I'm going to go ask Medea who her first 3 in command after her are.
All right, she is sleeping.
Wake her up.
You can wake her up
Not
if
for
you
long.
like.
I get a spray bottle and
She is upset. She goes and hides because she thinks she has done something wrong, and she is sad now. Now
Oh,
I'm
Jesus.
reflexively looking for my cat. Anyway, okay. After her, I'll make a dice roll for it. There are a couple people she would trust with command. There's just a couple of Kellish tribesmen. Nobody really
don't forget
special.
about
The augurs as well. Yeah, he's not really affiliated with anyone, and she
well, yes, but I say he should be one of the people in charge.
okay.
That's what,
She's comfortable. Well, she's not comfortable with it, but she'll do it because she realizes she's not in charge here. But wherever augurs goes, you guys if you go find him, you find they're not necessarily canoodling or anything worse, but him and the Tien woman are definitely cuddled up, leaning against a wall, asleep. They definitely will go together because they definitely are together.
all right.
So besides,
Well, I'm in charge of the horse people and the nomads. You do yours.
Fair enough. Van, if you wanted to make a check for teaching the ladies of the night how to take Callistria's vengeance upon the conquerors, I'm more than willing to take it.
Lit.
Grab the nuts, swing the knife.
All
Grab the
right.
nuts, swing the knife.
Ooh.
I feel like that's a quote, but I can't.
It is not.
No, well, good. Okay, yeah, they get the gist. There's enough single humanoids that are willing to go the same route that you have. They wouldn't have any qualms about it. They wouldn't
hot singles in your army.
hot singles in your army who are going to sleep with Taldor officers and then kill them. Specifically, I'll make a dice roll. It's fun to roll percentage dice. There's probably about a little less
80?
than, no, not 80, jeez. Probably more 15.
Year olds.
They're probably 15 or 16. Yeah, this is around the time that people come of age in this universe, though.
the good thing about them is we can also use them as agents, so we can learn more about what is going on. So they're like the little birdies we can talk to know what's going on.
So for now, what I'm hearing is the cavalry is split 4 ways. That makes 4 groups of 50.
Everyone is split is 4 ways.
But that's just what I've heard so far definitively.
I said everyone is split 4 ways.
Okay. How do you want to split
That's
them?
what I said. 4 ways. 250.
Okay. But
We have 1,000 troops under our command.
well, again, it's probably more
No.
like 1,400 now.
Well, nonetheless, so 350 each.
So you want to just like split it like?
Well, no, actually, that'd be about 300. No.
So
No,
you,
yeah, that'd be 350.
So you just want to make like an exact like 1/4 of the current army makeup and send them on their way, that kind of thing.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't think of a better way to do that.
Okay, fair enough. So Medea will take 1, Augurs and the Tien woman will take 1, and then there's a couple of other, I'll just say random 1 and random 2. They will get names if it becomes relevant. Okay. So now then I guess the last thing I need would be like, when do you want them to leave? Where do you want them to go? When should they report back?
Last question is definitely has the answer never.
Never.
Okay.
We want to stay separate from them. We don't want them to know anything about us and what we're doing, just as much as we don't want them to know anything about what the others are doing.
Okay.
If they're captured, they don't know anything, there's nothing they can say.
To spread the train from within, break down into more groups, and bring people into the fold and carry a message of resistance and freedom.
Okay. Does anyone have anything they want to add to that?
We should give them a way to contact us. Like if they
No.
have to.
No.
Okay.
No?
Nope.
What about so if we cannot, so what about code words or something? So
Nothing.
Nothing.
okay,
And by that logic, if they're splitting the entire group, Mercutio is assigned as the group's quartermaster. He will be going with one of them, and with him goes the merchants.
He goes with us.
He refuses.
okay, I'm going to convince him.
Okay.
Why does he refuse?
And again, like I said several sessions ago, he begins talking about, and I still like 20-odd sessions. I don't have a voice for this dude, and he's irrelevant as hell. But as he begins talking about his like nationalism and patriotism and stuff, like the Eagle Knight's banner that hangs from his lance / sling staff double weapon begins like billowing in the breeze. You guys know he's just as able of like disappearing into nowhere with his cart and his multiverse stuff as everybody else is, and he's not gonna just like sit around and do nothing.
Does anyone want to help me in this?
So he refuses to come with us and do something. Instead, he wants to argue with us and sit around.
He's not gonna argue. He's gonna leave with the troops and go do stuff.
Okay, we're taking troops with us, though.
Okay, so we're cutting it.
One under us,
Mhm.
one under Medea, and then one under Augurs, and then one under one other person. That's what I assumed we were talking about.
No, I assume cut it 4 ways and send everybody off.
Yes. Cut it 4 ways. We take a group. Someone, Augurs takes a group. Medea takes a group, and then whatever.
The party
Takes a
retains
group.
like 300 men.
Yeah, 350 to
Okay.
be exact.
Okay. Okay. In that case, he will stay with you.
Good choice.
I was a bit confused. I was like, is he really arguing with us about? No, I don't want to go with the troops. But the troops, I don't like those troops.
Okay, so the question still remains, when do they leave? They understand they're going to be autonomous. Well, actually, they probably just go ahead and start rousing everybody now. Yeah, we'll say that.
So let's give each of them a notable figurehead that we trust to lead them.
Okay, so
Well, we
one
do
of them is
actually.
Medea, and she's a Lamia, and it's actually like you split it evenly, but like her clan does not go anywhere, she doesn't, and all of the cavalry will follow her. Augurs and the Tien woman take another group. I'm trying to think of, there's not any other like, no, there are not. So it's just kind of like some random guy, probably from amongst the infantry, takes up the mantle of leadership, and people will follow him, and then you guys have your group with Mercutio.
Yeah. Unnamed chieftain.
Unnamed chieftain.
Unnamed chieftain 1.
Actually, probably more like unnamed farmer who's a little more competent one. Or like weaver or potter or something. But we get the idea.
Harry
Harry
Potter.
Potter.
Oh my god.
Oh, your god.
So among Medea's group, there is no one among them who will take up the leadership of training these other people to advance our cause.
Let's roll for it.
I thought they all would.
Could we pay someone from the multiverse to train them?
You could. You definitely could. It would involve them all going away for a while. Medea is willing, but she and all her forces kind of carry themselves with like an air of superiority. There's also the issue of they would need horses.
They would need forces?
Horses.
Is that what
They need horses.
Horses.
Mm-hmm.
They can get horses from the Taldorans. I think Medea needs to be brought down a little bit here.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. I would like to result in that. Thank you. So Emily's going to take her aside and just listen. If you think that somehow you have some sort of superior tactic, but for right now, what I'm saying is probably the best, what we're all saying is probably the best thing we have going for us right now, especially considering the fact that this army is undefeatable, and that from what I've seen, you're the only people who are going to be able to help us. So unless your men have your horses. Unless your men have no balls and no sense of honor or courage, I say you select your best men, you have them out there, you train these people, and you make us proud.
Okay. I've been putting together, she has like a pseudo character sheet in my head because she's relevant. This is probably about what her her will say is probably more like that. Okay, she doesn't tell you no. She gets you lead her aside, and at first she there's definitely an air of what the hell's going on kind of thing, and she doesn't draw her weapon at you, but she keeps her hand close by. You goad her a little bit, and she you can see the gears moving in her head, and she eventually just kind of without a word, she turns and runs off. I was going to say gallops, but that's not appropriate because her feet are lion feet. She gallops off, and she I don't know the exact name of the
she springs off.
Yeah, there we go. She pounces away. She full attacks the next square. No. In the language of her, the tribe she has lived with forever, she begins shouting out orders, and she doesn't take a whole, she'll take her third. She takes a little less than 100 of them, and it's more her men just kind of grab them, and some people might have bigger horses because they might be bigger than human sized, if there's an orc or I want to say hobgoblin, but we learned in the Interplanar Crossroads chat that those dudes are 5'6" or 5'4" actually. So probably bigger things like orcs and maybe even some genie can just grab these people up and put them in the saddle alongside. It's probably uncomfortable for a lot of people, but it is done, and she takes off. Her tribe leaves going, we'll say going west at a gallop.
There's one down.
Okay.
I guess the rest of the people are going to have to figure out their
Tommy, I'm before everyone divides up into the 4 groups, I'm just going to have a last chance to see if there are any apprentices I could find among the rebel group.
All right, roll for it.
Okay. Oh, roll?
Mm.
So 11. So do I find anyone that have some competency?
Who do you
He's trying to redeem
Yeah.
his leadership feat for an item crafter.
Can I help him?
Yeah, you can.
What do you want? Perception?
Yeah.
I mean, my character, if they're the only arcane user in the group, except for a
Nope.
few others. I said
Dan
except
and I
for a
both
few
have arcane.
others. Yeah, I said except for a few others.
Does
I
it
said-
does 29 help?
It does.
Alright.
It's still kind of like it presents the same problem that you had with training somebody how to use a sword, except now it's like training someone how to use magic, and that takes years. You could try. There are, now that you're kind of like over yourself, I guess we'll say, they're not just all like dirty country peasants. There's some people that obviously have like the spark of intelligence in their eyes, but again, there's nobody there with caster levels. You think it might be better to ask Recrucio, or to like, if you could go back to find the rest of the rebellion, maybe there's somebody there who's willing to follow you, but these guys, it's probably not going to happen. Not without years of training.
Okay, so there are no sorcerers among that group?
Not a one.
Nope.
Oh, what a
They're
shame,
farmers.
because sorcerers, I was hoping for a sorcerer, because I would take less time.
Farmer bloodline. Brain runs through their veins.
I think that's called Heart of the Fields, and is a really good trait for barbarians.
I think that's called a druid.
Yeah.
Dang. All right. So you have your answer.
Okay, so I would probably see if I can convince that one person to see if he would be willing to become my apprentice.
Okay, yeah, make a diplomacy check. Again, it's going to take like a long time to do this, but you can. Make that diplomacy check. Natural 20, the wizard hat just like grows out of his hair and suddenly he's almighty.
Gryffindor!
20,
Yeah.
not a natural 20, but 26?
He's the person is willing. I'll roll something.
Person is willing, but the body is weak.
The person is I'm gonna say
3 years old.
This 3-year-old is very smart. No, I'll say it's a Suli.
Cool.
And it's kind of like you're drawn to them because like their forearms radiate electricity.
Wait, why is he drawn to a 3-year-old?
It's not a 3-year-old. 3 is for uncommon races, and I have chosen the Suli. You know how I do this. This is how your Oriad War Priest was made. Random dice rolls. Like I said, you find there's a Suli there who's, again, you're like, they just happen to have a little bit of genie blood. It's possible it will take a very, very long time. But I will say one thing in your favor is this person doesn't really, like, they know Cheliax equals bad. They don't know why. They don't know that you're affiliated. So that's like a strike in your favor, we'll say. And you essentially have like
There's
a level
secret
1
you can
commoner.
do to betray them.
Yeah.
Okay, so well, it's going to take some time, but it's something to keep Lucia busy with.
All right. Is this how we're going to pop our leadership feat, is for this person?
Yes, just to have a apprentice for the time being.
All right. Evens male, odds female. The Suli is male. I can only think of one male Suli name. The Suli's name is Yarva.
Does he look like Clark Gable?
Oh no.
Nope, he doesn't look like Clark Gable. Sarah, did you ever get a description for that character
What?
for Yarva?
A description?
Jarva
He will portray it. The name comes from something else.
If I did, it was a long time ago and I don't remember.
I'll say the Suli definitely looks like that he doesn't belong amongst these people, and that's even like from the perception check of someone who's lawful evil. They could be so much more if they would like apply themselves.
Okay, Dad.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to have some fun training a apprentice.
All right. So everybody who isn't Mercutio and your quarter of the troops disappear into the night in opposite directions. They probably like Agruz and Medea and no, random person needs a name too. If I'm going to give this random person a name, we should give the other person a name as well. We'll say they are it'll just be a human, and that human's name is I'm just gonna steal from magic. That human's name is Rafik, and
Of the many.
of the many. I want to build that deck at some point.
Does
He's got
does
Exalted,
he have exalted?
and he too has a gigantic lion. But we digress. Rafik and Agruz and Medea are all given little like enchanted coins that they can use to contact Mercutio. Mercutio, like he makes a big show out of it too, and all three of them, Rafik and Medea and Agruz, they kind of like they show him a little more deference than they show you guys. You get the feeling that he might have recruited them just like he recruited you guys. Anyway, it is probably, I'm going to roll another d4 for time. And to answer Joe's question, that's just to make sure that we don't spend like 6 seconds in the desert arguing over stuff. This takes about another 4 hours to mobilize people, so it's like 2 in the morning at this point. You guys are probably starting to get a little tired, but like there's nothing saying you have to crash just right now.
If I am thinking we should all have a bit of a rest, and then we go our separate ways later in the morning. So I would probably get my apprentice some type of a wizard robe from Mercutio. So just add the silken ceremonial robe from the armor list for him.
Okay, sure. That's what, like a gold?
Bedtime kimono.
It is like 30 gold,
Oh,
and
geez. Okay.
yeah, I'm just for Lucy Eagle. She wants her apprentice to look nice.
All right. Yarva is pleased by this. He probably like he takes it and it's like it's the one of the nicest things he's ever seen. He's just, thank you, comrade. Do I know why he talks like that? No, but I'm stealing this character from somewhere, so I don't make the decision.
So
he disappears around a corner, puts on the robe. How do I spell it?
How do you spell his name?
Like I put it in chat, Yarva. Also, yes, he was a courtesan.
Kind of forgot about that.
I did too.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, legacy characters are fun. All right, so
I mean,
now that we're
went to
done making
college.
2 hours of plans, what are we doing?
Was it 2 hours?
It's like an hour and a half.
Damn Common Core.
Damn Common Core, yeah. That's what I get for my mid-Missouri education.
We should probably rest up, and then I'm thinking we should probably begin to go to one of the Taldor weak spots that we could probably do some raids on.
Okay.
Okay. I mean, I agree with the resting up at least.
Okay. So
it would take
doing quick
forever
math.
for us to. It would take forever for us to get to the dwarves. So I'm thinking.
Well, the dwarves isn't at the top of the list.
Yeah, that would take a very long time.
I think the top of the list was turning the people of Kadira completely against the satrap and the
rest of the
whatever.
Empire.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So unless anybody is opposed to it, 8 hours pass. When Enterling wakes up, I'm just like running like quick math in my head. Yeah, the Ouroboros is still spinning from when he went back down in the mine. Everybody make a perception check.
An Ouroboros now. Get fucked.
Yeah.
19, Brad.
Natural 20.
All right, I don't need to hear anymore. Lucia wakes up and she just like Sarah's in the bathroom. I'm rolling for her to see if she nat ones. She didn't. She actually did quite well. Sarah, you rolled a 19 if you can hear me. Thank you, she says in Facebook. So when Lucia wakes up in the morning, it just happens to be just like dumb luck that she opens her eyes and she sees like, I won't say a draconic form because that would be belying what it is. The natural 20 reveals that it's a desert drake. Essentially, the like weaker even than like a wyvern offshoot of the dragons, but like just as mean but nowhere near as intelligent, flying overhead. You see
Stupid
it
arm wings.
with stupid arm wings. You see it and you see it kind of like circle around 2 or 3 times, and then it turns south and it flies south, and as it does so, you natural 20'd, and giving you the fact that that's a desert drake isn't that good. You like are entirely sure that was an Imperial scout riding a desert drake, and your guys' position has been found.
Okay, I would tell everyone. We, I would tell them enemy scout know where we are. We should break camp ASAP.
Well, for everybody else, I gave it because it was a crit, but let me see if I have. Yeah, I've got an okay stealth. Let me see. I don't have an okay enough stealth. Everybody else sees a desert drake circle the camp and then fly south. But it's only Lucia that's entirely positive that that's a scout.
Wait, what'd you get? A 19 or a 13?
I got a 19. Oh, I got a 13. I got a 13. Never mind, I lied. The 19
I
was.
got a 29. Come on.
So you see that there is a desert drake, but you don't see like the intuition
Yeah,
of that it's a part of the bad guys because they're native to the
I
region.
thought I rolled a perception check. I guess it didn't go through.
It's all good.
I just realized that.
Well, you definitely see a desert drake as well. But like,
So Lucia's like, "Let's go.
Lucia is like, well,
Get the fuck out."
pretty much, yeah.
I guess I agree, considering the information.
Okay.
I mean, I don't like the fact that a desert drake is. I don't like the fact that that thing with its stupid wings is flying overhead anyway. So yeah, let's get out.
It is rationally. It's only a matter of time before the enemy scout go back to his superior, report where we are, and then teleport en masse troops where we are. So we're on a timetable
Yes.
to
Yeah,
go.
no one's disagreeing.
So, which way do we go?
It's up to you guys.
South?
He went
I think
south.
south
The
is
drake flew south.
Oh shit! Well, he's probably going back to. It's probably going back to whatever the name of your stupid ass capital is called.
It's
so,
not my capital. It's Paizo's. Thank you. And it's called Kathir.
Well, I didn't say it was your capital. I just said like the royal you.
Ah.
Nice save.
Let's rivers. I don't know. They went to the south, so let's go north.
Sounds good.
All right. Joe has control of that token. I think. Watch him just not at all. Yeah, Joe has control. I'll let you move. Okay, so you move an hour. Everybody make a perception check again if you would. 2 hours have passed. Don't move any farther.
I'm a crit.
You didn't. What?
I said I'm a crit.
Oh,
Not I didn't.
okay. Like that's a 15.
During this time, I would have my imp work on the
31.
item still.
Okay.
Run quickly! Start working on that, will you?
He just goes back in the cart that's just booking it. Okay. These guys aren't trying to be stealthy anymore. As you're like everybody starts booking it across the desert, Mercutio turns his wagon into whatever item you are making is
race car.
immediately finished, Donald.
Cool, because it's giving me a perception bonus.
Good. So you guys see now a larger group of drakes is coming up from the south, and by larger, I mean there's probably like 600 or 700 of them flying in formation towards you. These guys are definitely going to overtake you. There's no like
Mountains.
Mountains exist.
I know there's a spell that's basically like knock from air. I can't think of what it's called now.
Control.
Are they going to catch us before we hit the forest?
I'll put them on the board. They are. Whoops. For all intents and purposes, they're not that big. Slow your roll, Desert Drake. They're probably like right there. They're moving much faster than you are. You might maybe get to the forest, but like you would like it's everybody just like sprinting across the desert.
The mountains are closer.
Mountains are closer.
Mountains, we have at least a defendable position. Forest, we can at least hide in. So, which way do we want to go?
The mountains, because they're closer.
The mountains are an hour away. All right, so I'm taking it you guys move here. I'm just doing quick math ahead. Okay, so as you guys move to the mountains,
do I go there, or did we want to go straight up?
There, that works. More mountains there.
Okay. So as you guys get where you're going, it's about the time you guys hit the mountains. Enterling notices the Ouroboros stops rotating on his hand. Okay, you guys moved 1 square. These guys moved 2 because they are flying and faster. They like you get the feeling they know exactly where you are, and they are heading your direction. But the mountains indeed do provide cover. There's probably enough like caverns to hide people that aren't like competent against a bunch of Drake, or I almost said Drake deserts because that's how it reads in the bestiary. Competent against a bunch of desert drakes that they can at least find cover, and there's not enough shelter for everybody, but there's enough shelter for like better than being caught out in the desert.
So what do we know about
make
these
another
guys?
perception check, would you guys?
What do I know about desert drakes?
All right,
Yeah.
I will
Sounds
resolve.
like a knowledge nature check.
I will resolve that after the perception check. Did I get everybody? I'm waiting on Francis.
Oh,
I'm getting there.
It would be total 20.
All right,
I'm re-rolling that.
I see the natural
knowledge
one.
nature.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, so from your guys' vantage point, as you begin to move up, you see, like, right behind,
oh.
well, not right behind, but behind the drakes following up from the border to the south, you guys can see, definitely not in as good a detail as you see on the board, but, like, large figures moving amidst a bunch of considerably smaller figures that just kind of blacken the horizon. You could stop and count all of them, but they would probably be on top of you in the amount of time that it would take to count the like thousands of soldiers that are heading this way. To answer the knowledge nature checks, does anybody else want to roll it?
Yeah, I
Need
will.
another.
The druid just notched on. Yeah.
I will roll.
All right. All right.
Yeah, loving those threes.
So
Delicious.
it's Emeritus that has the biggest grasp on this, and it's probably a little more because of like knowledge of like fire drakes and magma drakes and even like shadow drakes that live in Cheliax. These guys are
Turkey drakes.
yeah.
Drake's cakes.
Probably
Drakes and
being
cakes.
Canadian. He knows a lot about Drake.
Yeah. That's actually when you look up Desert Drake to try to get the token. I had to pull this straight out of bestiary because I just got Uncharted pictures. But
Yeah.
these guys are, they're, like I said before, they're like dragons, but considerably less powerful when these guys are fully grown, and they appear to be, they're about as powerful as like a young dragon, but without the intelligence that comes with that. They're kind of just like, they're as smart as the average human commoner, but with draconic strength, and these guys in particular, they can burrow in the sand. They breathe charged electricity, and like they can, when they want to, they can fly pretty fast. They're desert drakes are natural sprinters, very dangerous over short distances, that kind of thing. As they get a little,
Why is John Rice Davies telling us this?
because speed surge kind of works the same way that Gimli does. 3 times per day as a swift action, a desert drake can draw on its draconic heritage for a boost of strength and speed that allows it to take an additional move action. I'll say they will make a perception check. That's what I'll say. Before just they automatically know. Okay, so they seem to know where you are, and they advance into the mountains. They don't take any hostile actions. They begin just kind of like circling overhead. Now that they're a little closer, it's not hard to see that hanging from their legs are banners that have the the green and blue. Well, actually, no. Somebody give me a knowledge, local or history, because this is relevant. I just realized I stumbled into something that I almost told you real wrong.
Oh. I have no grasp on this whatsoever.
You have some grasp. You did a natural 1. You natural 2.
Ugh.
All right.
Lucia with the save.
Lucia with the save. So, you guys see that from both of their legs dangle, I speak in Magic the Gathering terms a lot, but a lot of people who hear me right now will understand when I say the banners on the card Wingmate Rock. It's that same idea. Hanging from their ankles are what would be like a cavalier's banner, and they depict it's a bright green field with a black and a white scimitar crossed. The knowledge local check informs probably just Lucia, because this is pretty esoteric, but this is the flag of Kadira from 2,000 years ago, before the Empire came through and conquered them. Taldor's flag is a blue and green field with a white lion emblazoned upon it. what you guys take from that is what you guys take from that. But these guys are going to continue to advance.
Oh, so an hour passes while we look at them?
Kind of. Time is wibbly wobbly.
So we are going to have this.
Are they
fight.
friends? Are they friends or foes?
They are not attacking.
Right. No, I'm asking the other folks, the other characters.
If they attack us, we're going to attack.
You guys, to go and put this farther, like I said before, the sky is dark with desert drakes at the moment. You can probably also see, like, I realize they're red on top of you. You can see, like, the gleam of armor as some of them, like, bank at, like, 40-degree angles to turn, and you can see they all have riders on their backs.
Okay,
So somebody give me a white flag. I'm gonna go talk to him.
Great. I'm looking up wind spells.
Yeah, my only AoE spells I prepared were a fireball, and a lightning bolt is quite useful if I can actually hit the rider.
I don't know.
You would have to hit the rider because these guys they resist 20 points of electricity. Somebody rolled really high on knowledge nature.
So, Pogues grabs something, a sheet or something, and a stick, and he makes a flag and looks for some kind of promontory or whatever to go climb up on top of, and starts waving it to parlay.
Okay.
Partay.
Well,
We're gonna die. Let's party.
That might be later.
Yeah, they seem to they either don't see it or they ignore it. They continue to just kind of like circle overhead.
What about the troops?
Your troops or theirs?
Are you talking about that one?
Is there anybody that's a leader?
It's hard to tell. They are several hundred. Well, they bank down. They're probably more like 100 feet above you. Some of them a little less. But it's just kind of like dudes in scale mail with masks that cover their face, riding drakes.
Is there anyone that have any more unique armor that say I'm a leader?
You can make a perception check.
24. So do I see?
Less of a leader and more of think like a squadron leader. If these guys were to organize like World War II era fighters, you get the feeling that they're probably not in charge of what's going on and I'm gonna move these guys a little closer. In charge of what's going on down there. Now that those guys are a little closer, everybody make a perception check again.
So Pogue sends his wasp up to somebody and says, "We wish to parlay in." What's the language here? Is it Kellish?
Kellish, yeah.
All right. Yeah, right.
It's super confusing, I know.
Right, and Pogue knows Kellish, so.
Okay, so I've seen perceptions from Joe and from Don.
Oh,
I've already given you a perception.
That's why I said I've seen it.
Oh.
hold on.
I'm waiting to see if Francis natural wands.
Sorry.
Now I have to reflexively check the Discord and see if he went to the bathroom or something. Okay. All right. So these guys get a little closer. They don't necessarily storm up the mountain, but they're pretty close. The ground starts shaking as they move, and you see there are several stone golems interspersed amongst a bunch of Imperial soldiers. They're all uniformed, the same scale mail, the same red tassel coming off their helmets, the same mask. They kind of form a semicircle around the paths that you guys took. And as they get closer, you can, like I said, there are well and truly thousands upon thousands of them. They you could try to fight them with everything you guys had last night, and you would still be horribly, terribly outmatched, and it would be swift defeat.
So you say they're Imperial soldiers? Are they?
When I say Imperial, I mean they're Khadiran.
Okay.
But they're dressed when I say Imperial soldiers that are Khadiran, I mean that are protectorates of the of the big empire up north. Essentially, they fight the way they fight. They dress the way they dress, but like they are, for all intents and purposes, the bad guys.
Are these the old school ones, or are these the?
Yeah, they. Are you asking about the flank?
Are these soldiers of the satrap? Or
Yes,
the
yes,
emperor?
yes, of the satrap.
Okay.
But these guys are also flying the same old Kadiran flag that, like the drakes over your head, that they all begin to kind of like, the drakes settle on higher mountain peaks looking down on you. And like a booming voice from down where like the main body of the troops issues forth, just, enough of your games. Bring forth your commander, and we will talk terms.
Are we fucked?
Maybe.
There are probably maybe.
I think we found the title of this episode.
Maybe. There's probably a lot of people around you who are probably losing their minds. You don't see Mercutio, but like the throng of people that have barely learned how to fight are definitely like on their knees praying to the Dawnflower for a quick and painless death and salvation.
Should have gone into the forest.
Lordly Caliber episode 15. Are we fucked?
I think it's like 21 at this point.
Oh shit.
Maybe.
15. Maybe.
I was kind of lowballing it with 15.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Pogue he'll go down there.
All right.
Yep, you've got the best diplomacy.
as your leader.
I'll join
Chris,
Pogue.
All right. So I've heard Pogue. I've heard Fritz. Okay, so Donald.
I will stay in the back. See, I will assist from this range. I don't want.
I'll lead from the rear.
Lucia,
that's Pogue's line.
Yeah,
I know it is. I'll go out with Pogue.
Yeah, I guess I'm.
If nothing else, I can torch someone before we all die.
Well, I will accompany everyone if we're all going to die together. We might as well do it in a certain fashion.
All right. So it takes you guys about an hour to pick your way down. I'll say in that hour, a like delegation from the bad guy troops, I shouldn't call them bad guy troops, from the Kadiran troops, begin to make their way up the mountains. And again, these guys are uniform. I think we have a token. I hope we have a token. How would you fight them if they don't have no tokens? Kind of like that.
No, we win.
Oh, yep. The game glitches you guys win about
Boom.
like that. And you
Nice.
guys, there's a dwarf leading them.
A dwarf.
He's
Oh, that
There's
looks like a
Very
racial
skeezy looking dwarf.
Yeah, looks like a racial stereotype.
yeah, he just looks Eastern. It's just the same as any other like Eastern male RPG character you'll find anywhere. Like, for the love of God, look at the somewhere down here are like the generic Eastern troops you find from Pathfinder. They should be like way down here, past even like when I made your guys' tokens. I think this was like the first token I ever made. Friggin' these dudes. If I can grab them, right there. That's not much better.
Yeah.
I don't see them. Oh, they're there. Yeah.
And we don't need two of them. Okay, so you guys make your way down the mountain. The dwarf has Torag's holy symbol is emblazoned upon his armor.
Pogue greets the dwarf in dwarvish and appropriate salutations and with appropriate salutations and stuff.
All right, sounds like a diplomacy check.
All right, come on, baby. Tony.
Anybody want to help him?
Yes.
No.
Yes,
Yeah.
I will.
How many of you speak Dwarven other than Pogue?
No.
I'm betting no one.
I do.
Oh, well, there you go. I don't think Sarah does.
No. Can I look at them?
You can also speak to them in common.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead and roll.
Boom! Oh.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
Use the hero point.
Use the hero point.
Am I gonna screw everybody else up if I do that?
Probably.
I mean, if I don't re-roll it.
If you don't re-roll it, we would probably all die.
You say
Yeah.
something
You're like,
really terrible
hey,
in Dwarven.
Pogue's like, hey, how you doing? And Fred's
Oh,
like,
that was
I'll
very
take it.
nearly a repeat.
I'll take it.
Ooh,
100%
nice.
better. The natural 2 is better than the natural 1. All right, so you guys approach the dwarf, and the dwarf, he approaches you, and he like he kind of singles out Pogue, partially because Pogue is the first one who speaks to him, and he doesn't have to lean that far down to get down to Pogue's level.
Yeah, he's also almost eye level.
That might also play a role. he just kind of, Mercutio, you are not Mercutio, are you? I was told to expect one more, and he begins to like put his arms like below his chest and then like forward out to indicate like a very obese person.
Yeah, no, no, I'm not Mercutio. We are associates. What can we do for you today?
Then where is your leader?
He's our leader?
That is the word. We were told that a former Eagle Knight turned merchant named Mercutio has gathered forces from all across Golarion to free Kadira, to give Kadira back to the Kadirans, and we would speak with him.
Aren't you
I
Kadiran?
like the sound of this.
What, Joe? I'm sorry.
I said Enderling likes the sound of this.
Okay. I heard I would like to get out of this.
I would like to get out.
I would message Paul. You are good with people, so what? So do your thing to sense if he have any hidden motives.
No, that sounds good.
Sounds like the least
Sense
meta way to
motive?
say sense motive check. Sense intent. Anybody want to help him out?
Yeah.
Nope.
Hey, your wisdom's good. You're a druid. I believe in you.
What? Woo!
Yes.
All right.
Nice.
So Emeritus is entirely sure that, well, really everyone is pretty sure that like these guys aren't trying to pull the wool over your eyes. They seem genuinely intent on joining the rebellion, and Emeritus kind of like it dawns on him that, and I
Is that
said
a pun?
no. Why would it
It
be a pun?
dawn flower.
Oh, ha. You need to spend 1,000 gold and fix your sword, ma'am. Your sword is broken, and you never fixed it.
Do not call me ma'am.
That is one of the like emissaries and grand messengers of your goddess, and you are leaving it broken. You spend your 1,000
He's
gold.
fucking walking around with a half a sword.
Call me ma'am again and you get stabbed.
Oof.
Oh, geez.
You're gonna stab the GM.
All right.
So again,
God
Sarah,
is dead and Sarah has killed him.
Sarah's
Oh,
natural
pencil
20.
wasp.
Sarah's
Oh,
natural
pencil
20.
wasp.
I
Got
spent
it.
that gold, Tommy.
Oh, great, even better.
So
Sarah's natural 20. It dawns on her that it's been, again, other than your quick excursion out to Absalom and back, it's been a long time since you guys have come up for air. And like you guys have spent a week doing not a whole lot of much, but there's been a war going on all around you. And Emeritus gets the feeling that like, just kind of like the bigger overall feeling that there's more going on in the world at large that you guys have been kind of blind to.
And what might that be?
Like I just said.
But more information.
Okay. The more information is that what am I trying to do? The more information is that you don't have that information. It's kind of like if something happened in the news today. Well, what happened on the news today? You don't know.
School shooting? What?
Hey,
Hey.
that did happen, though. That's sad.
Hungry's got a dictator.
Yeah. The dwarf continues just kind of like...
Okay, so I tell him most respectfully that we have
And
sent
that-
word to Mercutio.
Okay.
That Mercutio is a big old puss and he's nowhere to be seen.
No, we didn't say that.
So I would assume the wasp would go up to Mercutio to.
I believe that's
tell-
what Van did, yeah.
That's yes.
All right, so it takes a lot less time than you imagine it would for Mercutio and his dog to kind of just round the corner. Oh, I just now
He's
realized
huge.
how much I dislike that token. Yes, he has become the dire halfling.
Isn't that a human?
Yeah,
A really sneaky human?
with sweet sideburns. Or not even sideburns, like
Sneaky
full
and
mutton chops.
craven.
21 episodes of Lord the Caliper. Mercutio does not have a voice. Guys, for an action point, without being jackasses, what does he sound like? What does the
Danny DeVito.
I thought you were going for a Danny DeVito.
But I cannot channel Danny DeVito. His power is too great.
Gilbert Gottfried.
Oh, what about
Gilbert Godfrey. Hey, you guys! No, I'm not doing that.
Oh.
That wasn't Gilbert Gottfried. That
Yes,
Yeah,
was
I don't know what that was.
I can't-
getting stabbed in the diaphragm.
That's what he sounds like when he's
Tommy? Tommy, can you do a Sean Connery voice?
You think he sounds like Sean Connery? I have to reserve
Does
that
he
for the
get Dutchman?
dwarves. I gotta save it for the dwarves who didn't grow up in the desert.
How about Boston?
Not
Shut
Boston. Say a sentence in Boston, man.
Say it
Pachacon,
in
have a
Boston.
Mercutio.
He's
My name's
Mercutio.
Mercutio.
All right, got it. Take your action point. He comes down and he just, Lieutenant Malik, it's about time you and your boys got here. And he like kind of stumbles off his German Shepherd. A little like you guys can make a sense motive check. Actually, is what you can do.
No, I can't.
Actually, that was pretty good, Tommy.
Thank you.
Pretty good, Danny DeVito.
Just keep the
Yeah.
at the end.
Just keep the
Fine.
just at the end. Anybody else want to sense that motive?
Oh yeah, you know it. I crit last
It-
time.
It's a shame I don't get sense modifier the class skill until next level.
Is that your prestige class?
Yeah, it's one of the
Say like what?
it is one of the extra skills I get.
All right, so you guys all get the feeling that like Mercutio's been holding back a lot in the past, like
He's gonna take off his weighted armor.
about 3 weeks. Yeah, he takes off the kettle that's under his shirt. No, he's definitely as fat
What?
as he is. Just
You
cling.
wear weighted armor?
He's practicing.
Starts flying around, kicking our ass.
He actually has monk levels, and he's been holding back. No, he's Broly.
He's actually a level 20 monk
He's actually a level 20 primal
with
companion
the
hunter.
kettle in the pants.
He's a level 20 primal companion hunter with a dog companion, actually. But
Oh, yeah,
Takes off
Clifford.
his shirt and just leaves a dent in the ground.
yeah,
All right.
he comes out just. It's about time you got here, Malik. Is this all you got? And he like, as he says this, he looks up and he kind of like Mercutio starts to fly up into the air and survey the land around him, and like you guys can hear the stomping on the ground of several thousand feet snapping to attention. You probably actually can see it too. All these guys, like, again, just like going to attention as they see Mercutio. Even the golems seem to have like a just a little like scripted contingency, I guess, for a construct. To like they see their commander, they stand to attention. Their like gigantic arms snap up to the salute. He flies back down and, well, Malik, what are your terms then? Malik snaps his fingers, and as he does so, a couple of men come around the side of him, and they begin incanting, and like casks of ale come like basically just pop out of nowhere and begin stacking all over the place. Everyone cheers and has a good time. Where are we? We are in mountains. I kind of had it in my head this was going to happen at the mine, but you guys started moving faster than I really thought you would. Malik, he looks at his men, and his men, they unsummon the barrels of ale, essentially. And he looks at you guys. Go back, get your forces, come down from this mountain, and we will speak. Much has happened in Qadira in the past week, and more will be coming. And like as if on cue, I kind of like emerging in like a fiery snap out of nowhere as the fire like appears and disappears. Mustafa, like just kind of out of nowhere, just and then he sees you guys, sees the dwarf, sees Mercutio, and he like bows are really like he has to bow really, really, really low, as big as he is, to get lower than Mercutio, but he like drops down to the ground, bowing to him. Mercutio just kind of, come on, big guy, not in front of everybody. Let's come on, and he tries to grab him, but Mustafa's body radiates heat, so he kind of come on. And like his dog doesn't seem to care as much about the radiant heat coming from an Ifrit, as he kind of like just bops him up. Without waiting for you guys to follow, everyone just kind of turns and heads down the mountain.
What the fuck is happening?
This is so much for guerrilla warfare.
I
Oh,
follow.
wait, the little fat guy is actually really important.
You say that, and he kind of just, well, what would you do, Francis? If you're trying to start a rebellion, would you follow a fat hobbit like myself? Or, and he kind of like goes to like jam his elbow into Mustafa's ribs. He kind of plays that way a lot. He kind of like I'm saying, to go into Mustafa's ribs and then stops because he remembers it's hot. Or, would you follow this guy here? Would you follow big, shiny paladin who worships the goddess who everyone worships in the region? Yeah, that's what I thought. And then he turns, just kind of like, kind of spurs, kind of just kicks his dog. And his dog picks up the pace a little bit.
Oh, I didn't even get a chance to seriously?
He says nothing.
I was speaking out loud. I wasn't asking anyone in particular.
Well, he decided that answers need to be given.
Yeah.
And he's very drunk, or he got punched in the mouth.
Man, look at that token. He is very drunk.
Look at his nose.
Rudolph the Red-Nosed Halfling.
Very something.
He sounds like kind of like a drunk Godfather Danny DeVito.
Good enough for me. That was literally the first token I made for this campaign, and I just needed a very nondescript, non-threatening halfling. And we found one.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, you certainly did that.
Kind of looks like
I
Matt
always
Evie.
imagined him to have black hair, so. Just saying.
I guess we go get our farces. Or I will, if you guys just want to go down.
That's
No,
what would
hopefully
be
hunt
best.
them.
Yeah, you could go. Go, Aaron boy.
Yeah, Aaron, 30-year-old man.
I cast Earthglide and I fucking leave.
Nice.
Just goes off. All right.
And Superman through the earth.
A couple of hours-ish later, everyone arrives.
No, I get to the other side of the mountain. I'm done.
Just out.
And keeps going.
Yeah,
How long does Earthglide last?
not that long.
Not 2 hours.
He just runs out in the middle of the mountain.
It's just long enough to make his exit, and then he just trudges.
And once he's out of line of sight, he ends the spell.
He's like, but damn, I looked good leaving.
Yeah.
Shoo.
A couple
All
of
right, fine.
hours
Turns
pass.
into a mole.
Yeah. No, he can't. He can only turn into plants. He turns into some weird burrowing plant. It probably exists in a bestiary somewhere.
Oh, it definitely does.
Every plant, considering they have roots.
He just turns into a root system. Whoop.
A potato. Very appropriate.
Yeah.
I'll get up there. It's gonna take me a couple of years, but
I am curious. So, if there is a grass book for grasses, so is there plant books for all the plants?
Grasses are plants.
Yeah, what? I'm confused.
What?
Oh, I'm just figuring if we are going to be talking to more plants, maybe we can use the plant book app for all the plants.
Oh, ha, ha. I get it now. Ha, ha. For a split second, I thought you meant an actual book, and that might make some trees kind of
Like
incensed.
Pathfinder plant book. Play a plant guide companion for grasses.
I mean, that's kind of Ultimate Wilderness. There's like 4 or 5 different plant companions and a couple familiars. A couple hours pass. You guys get down the mountain. As that happens, when you reach the bottom, actually, you guys are a little stronger now. You guys can make spellcraft checks if you have them available to determine what Mustafa is casting. But he begins just, again, like, the troops see him, and he claps his hands a couple times. The spellcraft check is enough. You know he's casting Hero's Feast and just expending, like, all the pearls of power to do this. So everyone, including you guys, are fed, again, like when you met him in the other mine, just whatever it is you find the best food for Enterling is probably just plates of, like, horns of meat and meat and more meat and meat. And he's the only one, I guess for Francis,
Roast lamb.
potatoes.
I would
Gets potatoes.
I would imagine Lucia.
I'm not a vegetarian.
I would picture Lucia meal would be probably the best meal ever, probably since she actually left Cheliax, so whatever nobles would consider the best of the best.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah, I
It's probably a lot fancier than everybody else's. You probably get like fancy, like
true.
solid
No, you're so
pseudo
wrong.
platinum forks.
You're
Yeah,
so wrong there.
Also, I would have had the best food for my raven to eat as well.
the best bird.
Bodies.
Pogue has the most understated,
Rats.
just nicely cooked meal out of everybody.
His is low-key the best. So everyone who is... I guess Sarah's the only one who hasn't chimed in on what her character's favorite food is. You guys can all have action points for that.
Is there like a berry bush around here? Do they have fruit?
What is this, Age of Empires?
Well,
Can I have a farm next to the town center? I wish to turtle now. Build my walls and farms. Fuck you.
There's not necessarily like a berry bush, but like you could have like a plate of berries.
Yeah, good berry.
Man, the imp is probably actually like, it looks like, actually, it would, I forgot you have an imp. Okay, the imp, the raven goes to sit down, and then Mustafa goes to look at it, and he double takes, and then his true seeing reveals that that's an imp, and he draws his sword, and it ignites.
And he kills it.
And he doesn't kill it. He doesn't kill it. But he thinks better of it at the last second, and he just like begrudgingly puts his weapon away as Mercutio and Mustafa and the dwarf, who, if you guys didn't catch it, his name is Lieutenant Malik. They all arrange themselves around a table where a map of Kadira has been laid out. And as you guys, like, they look at you, Mercutio kind of, like, he doesn't look at you, like, weirdly, but he has kind of that aha twinkle in his eye as he's, like, waiting on you guys to catch up. I will slide the players over. Then I will click here, then I will go over here, and I think it's this I need to click on, and this I need to click on. Okay, now everybody on, who's watching this at home on the internet can see the same board that we're all looking at. Malik wastes no more time. Over the past week, word of executions of our own officers has spread. The Empire, they did not take kindly to the satrap letting a Chelish prince wander freely in the lands, and to save face, they executed anyone who seemed even slightly involved in the entire affair. A mirror is brought forward, and it's set down on the table next to this map, and Mustafa waves his hand as he does so. An image of how do I want execution to work in Taldor? Well, we'll say crucifixion. That makes sense. Like a sequoia-sized crucifix with several bodies hanging from it, up to and including you guys lost a bartender and you lost an alchemist. They hang from it as well. You catch bits and pieces of recorded audio. Essentially just like proclaiming to the assembled masses in Opara that these were the folk responsible for the abduction of Prince Yuma LaCroix, and they have been brought to justice, and this, that, and the third, and the arcane eye that is recording all this pans up, and you see like several other Kadiran officers, several other soldiers of the satrap hang, stripped of their armor, with like clutching Sarenrae's holy symbol and just kind of like weeping and begging for mercy. Well, they can't really clutch it because they're tied up. Malik is not an alchemist. Malik doesn't have classes because he was invented like 4 hours ago. When the scene fades, Malik like draws Mercutio's attention back to the map. The satrap's forces have retreated into the mountains when word came back that our officers, our brothers in arms, were killed to save face. We have decided that we have had enough of the Emperor. We have had enough mining our own resources and selling them for a pittance while we and our families struggle, while we and our families have nothing. He begins like pointing out the areas that are outlined in red on the board. What remains of the satrap's forces have held up here. He you can't really see it because there's a line in my terrible drawing drawn through it. As I go here. The satrap himself and his guards have retreated to Kathir. This is the only major stronghold left. The rest of us, most of his forces, We'll fight for you. You guys are probably like right here-ish.
Where on the map?
I'll click again.
We're north of them.
Right about there.
Like,
Actually,
yeah,
probably
top
more
left
like
near
there.
Delana. The Borderwood.
Mm. Got it. I will make that very small. Malik looks up at Mercutio and Mustafa. It's around this time that, well, make a perception check. And Donald is right there. As soon as I say it, he sends it forward.
Well, perception is the most valuable skill in the game.
That is very true. That sounded bad. Did somebody fall over?
No, sorry, that was the sound of my desk.
Ah, okay, gotcha. One of these days I'll organize my tokens a little better.
All right, Joseph is dead in the water.
He is dead. So are you.
Well, Joe's dead
I
because he
am?
doesn't have internet.
You didn't roll. Joe doesn't have
Because
internet.
he has internet, yeah.
Oh. Okay, fair enough. Joe took 10, and he gets good enough to get the information when he sees this later. Francis gets 20. Okay, so you guys hear a faint, like, popping noise followed by several other, like, super quiet popping noises as several people teleport in all around the place. Most of them are dressed in the garbs of, like, very high-ranking Imperial spellcasters. They all, some of them are tied up. The vast majority of them are kind of like eyes wide in adoration for the people that they bring in. Where are their tokens? Well, you don't need the tokens. Rivariel is among them. Kalinren is among them. And they just kind of like, they seem to worship the ground that Kalinren walks upon, even though like a lot of them are tied up. Rivariel just kind of like jabs his sword into somebody's back, and they just like, as if like your best friend just stabbed you in the back, like, what is going on? As they all just kind of get like corralled forward. Mustafa sees this and nods. Kalinren actually probably, he sees Ennerling, and it's like really, really on the DL, but there's no point in drawing the sense motive check. He points at Pogue, and Pogue hears telepathically. The troll, is he sane?
Was he ever?
I think you know what I mean, friend. He,
I think so.
Kalinren, like, as like nonchalantly as he probably, well, there's a lot going on. He probably like walks by the table and mage hands up a little bit of cutlery to point at his hand where Ennerling's Ouroboros is.
Right. No, I know what you mean, but it's not moving right now. I don't know what that means.
Do you trust him?
I do trust him as much as I've ever trusted him, but I'm still worried about him.
Kalinren nods, and as he begins to like make his way off as like somebody in Talden just kind of like groveling at his knees, and Kalinren like in comment out loud where everyone can hear it, he just looks down. It is okay. We must go and get the rest of your friends soon. You can help me with that, right? And the man on stage just nods fervently. Messaged back at Pogue before he goes off, just, do not be afraid to put the beast down if you must. These are dark times. Kalinren reaches his hand down to grab like the forearm of the person who's groveling, and they teleport away. And like this is in like rapid succession, over and over and over again. All these mages, they appear like it doesn't take a whole lot of brain power for you guys to figure out that it appears that like agents have made their way into Taldor and have charmed the people that are responsible for teleporting Imperial forces into Qadira, and then like teleported them here to be taken into custody. It doesn't take a genius also for you guys to realize that like this probably means that the Taldans won't be teleporting in reinforcements. They'll have to do it the old-fashioned way.
Nice.
Nice. We are on equal footing, or at least equal battleground terms, in some sense.
it's probably around this time also that, and you guys are going to feel really bad about this, but Medea and Ogruz and Rafik and all those other men that you sent off begin to make their way back here. Not to say your plans are all in vain. You also get experience for it, but like the word has been put out by Mercutio, and they're all kind of like forming up here. I feel bad expositioning through all this if Joe well and truly isn't with us. Well, damn it, Joe. All right, well, we move forward nonetheless. Mercutio, he stands up and almost like climbs onto the chair and kind of his like part of the table. He's still, you guys know he's completely BSing the drunken idiot thing. It's super clear by now. But he takes the point of his halfling lance staff, is the custom weapon I'll call it, and he points at Kathir, which you can't see it again because it's covered, but right yonder there. And he looks over at Mustafa and just, Mustafa, take the cult of the Dawnflower. Begin your assault on the capital. Without waiting, Mustafa like disappears in a like gout of fire, essentially, I guess would be like the Afridi casting teleport on himself, and he just out of the place. He looks over at Malik, and as he does so, he kind of like, his gaze includes all of you guys as well. Malik, take your defenders, and I'm going Arabic now. Take your defenders and head up onto that fort there. Head up to Fort Ligos. I'm sure the Taldans will be sending reinforcements. Probably, if they care about the southernmost holdings at all. Let Mustafa have all his glory. Let him do what he does for the cult of the Dawnflower. You guys just make sure that the Taldans don't come in and mess it up. Poe, Lucia, Emeritus, Francis, Enneling, who doesn't reply. We're going to take our troops and we're going to go north. We're going to follow the defenders. I've watched you guys command for a week now. I think it's about time I take over. And he kind of like falls into the saddle of his dog that conveniently appears around the corner, and he just kind of like, he begins making his way amongst like what is essentially turned into a giant cafeteria as everyone is like having the best, and you guys mechanically have the effective Heroes Feast as well. I forget what that is, but you're free to look it up. As Mercutio begins, just, all right, we're going north. It's time to take Kadira back for the Kadirans. And then everybody starts like beating silverware against the table because they don't have weapons out at the moment, but they just kind of like pound against their table and scream.
So like 3-year-olds.
But with fervor and not with toddlers. Yeah! We're going north. We're gonna get some mac and cheese. Yeah!
Some cheese and mac.
Some cheese and mac.
Some craft dinner.
I have a symptom of the internet. All right. The floor passes back to you guys.
So Pogue just grins at being relieved of command.
I bet.
Yes. Also.
Like, thank God. Oh.
I ask my apprentice, so how is his meal?
He burps loudly in response.
Rude.
Maybe a little, but this is probably the most food he's ever seen in his whole life. And it, like, I actually am going to look up what Heroes Feast does. I've been using it for flavor. Pun not intended.
Ha!
But it's, like, it's good mechanically as well as good, like, yummy good. What does it do? It does... It took him 10 minutes. He can cast it super quick, and he's my PC.
You want to know what the spell does?
I'm looking at it. Everybody receives the benefits of both neutralize poison and remove disease, and gains 1d8 temporary hit points plus 1 per 2. So you would get 1d8 plus 10 maximum hit points that lasts, and a plus 1 morale bonus on attack rolls and will saves, and a plus 4 morale bonus against poison and fear for the next 12 hours. Yeah, everybody's feeling pretty good.
Well, thank you, Danny DeVito.
But it wasn't Danny DeVito.
I know.
It was, I don't have a name of a Middle Eastern actor off the top of it. But it's him.
Yeah.
And he's gone now.
Danny DeVito, Eminem.
While this is going on, Colin Rand and Rivariel and several other, like, sneaky castery types in concert are teleporting in and out, and it's like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people that you imagine are like responsible for casting gate or like big group teleports to teleport them in, and then like the guy casting teleports back, and like mechanically that's the only spell he has prepared forever because that's his job. They're just systematically brought here, and they're like they look a little confused as they're put in chains, but they just kind of like nod reverently at Callan as this whole thing goes on.
So are we still going to be traveling with Recrucio?
It's more like, well, yeah, it's no longer like he's traveling with you. It's more like you are traveling with him. The orders have come down. Command of your battalion has changed. It is now under Mercutio's lead, and you guys will follow. Of course,
Yes,
this whole time, there's never been like you could leave whenever. You aren't like you're not like the Cheliax. You're not forced to fight. But it would be very nice.
Yeah.
Well, Lucia have agreed to help the cause so far, so why not go the extra mile?
Fair enough. Let me have Lucia make a quick perception check.
Okay.
Just real fast. Okay, so you see somebody teleports in, and that's somebody how do I want to flavor it? They have a really long blonde beard, like long, like down to their belly button, and it's braided, and like their mohawk is tied up like not man bun style because it goes all the way back and then all the way down, like to the small of his back. The guy is like the Ulfinest of Ulfin you've ever met in your life, though he carries like spellbook in one hand and quarterstaff in the other. He's muscles on his muscles. He begins moving through, and he's doing the same thing as everybody else. He's bringing in charmed teleportation mages, but he's flanked by a pair of knowledge religion checks, Donald. That's what they are, actually. I think Donald died on me. I think
Okay,
I think a 15 cuts it. A 15 cuts it. A 15 cuts it. He's flanked by a pair of Draugr. They are they're encrusted in barnacles, but like it's a zombie. They even in the middle of the desert, they're dripping water, and they give off like the stench of like corpses fished up out of the sea, essentially. Nobody seems to. Some people will like, whoa, I'm eating, and there's something that smells bad, and like give them that kind of birth, but no one like is reacting aversely to the fact that he has zombies with him.
Okay, cool. Okay, so can I gauge how powerful he is as a wizard?
You can make a check. You can tell off you made a knowledge religion check. The Draugr are CR2. They're not much more than like a regular zombie. What do they even do? What is the point? Because Skyrim.
They are. Oh well, I think they go back to Viking lore.
They do. They totally do. And they also like if they hit you with anything, they can nauseate people for a round. That's not bad.
I am impressed by his command over necromancy. I definitely need to talk to him later. If anyone else is close to.
As he make another, let's have everyone make this perception check real quick. These guys walk pretty close by past you guys. No, I saw a 20. I'm like, oh, there it is. We did it.
Fuck.
Well, Pogue.
I already used mine.
Oh, okay. What am I gonna do with that? I will be generous. As the Draugr move past, one of them kind of like mindlessly like jabs you in the rib cage with his elbow. Make a fortitude save.
Okay.
We're being attacked by undead. That's all the excuse I need.
Wait, so all of us are
No. This is just because
22.
Pogue not one. Pogue resists the effect. The elbow kind of jabs him in the ribs, and he gets really like he almost just throws the hero's feast up violently all over the place, but he's able to keep it together. Everyone who is not Pogue notices that it's really gross, but the Draugr appear to have like fingernails and toenails stuck to their body.
Yeah.
In some cases, kind of like merged with the like bits of skeleton that are hanging out.
Too graphic.
Not graphic enough.
Yeah, you could have made them throw up, and then that would have
Yeah.
been too graphic.
They
for
also
me.
like they definitely smell like bloated corpses, and they naturally have the smell of the sea. But it's like Donald would know that it's a little too strong. Like they smell a little too much like salt water.
Cool. A necromancer potential romance interest for my character.
Oh.
Cool.
Boom! Clark Gables from Nova Scotia.
Yeah, sorry. You have a man, muzzle upon muzzle, and he have Dwarves. Sorry. He definitely blow Clark Gable's muzzle away.
Yeah, who
Clark
cares about-
Gable's been replaced with like the vocalist from Amon Amarth. I love it. Well, what do, gang? That's all the interruption I had on the stuff you're doing.
Okay, I asked if Poe is okay.
Yeah, I am. After sick to my stomach, but yeah, I'm good.
How would I go about contacting my druidic order?
That is a really good question. I've been trying to answer that question for Necros as well. That's why I have those ravens. But shit, I don't know. You could probably get a hold of somebody here. Like most of the rebellion seems to be amassing here. People like in addition to those who are teleporting prisoners of war in. There's also like probably most of the NPCs you guys have met begin to teleport in. Nira teleports in and kind of like. She probably teleports in right around the time that Pogue starts like a little bit, and she like rushes over to you and like pats you on the stomach and like not aggressive,
Nice.
like, throw it up, not like that, but like I guess like pats you on the back, rubs your stomach. Who else have you guys met? There's been a lot of NPCs. There have been a gratuitous amount of NPCs. Crash appears and he kind of just like sits down in his loincloth like by the table and starts just like scooping in mouthful upon mouthful of food. As Tommy is sad that the shifter isn't good enough for him to stay a shifter. Zeal appears and he kind of just like winks at Lucia and like looks over, sees the Draugr and just kind of like, well, Zeal does not like this. I go now, and just kind of like around the corner. Marcella appears and kind of like makes her way. Well, she was with you guys the whole time. You had one more person. Oh well. She has returned to you and makes her way like up Emeritus's back. Anyway, to contact the order, there's probably like a messaging service you can get a hold of somebody who could like, if you knew somebody to scry, they could scry it and cast sending through the like a greater scrying effect, that kind of thing.
Okay.
There's probably also like other druids here as well. Maybe not necessarily Order of the Leaf, but more think like desert themed druids.
Mhm.
Order of the Sand, that doesn't exist, but you get the idea.
Probably like Order of the Dune or something.
Or Order of the Flame, perhaps. That seems more. Regardless, they are here.
Oh, I don't know how to do this. Yeah, I guess I will have to go talk to another druid if I can't like send a message.
You could.
Expediently.
It'd be as expediently as like you describe somebody and they scry that somebody and cast sending through it.
Okay. Let's see if I can find someone to send a message to the woodsman he lived with
Okay,
when he was a boy.
let's roll some percentage tests. Let's see how hard that is for you to do.
Whenever there is a low time in the meal, I would probably talk to the necromancer, the Happy Draugr, if he's around still.
Understood. It's kind of difficult for Francis to pull it off. It takes a little bit of searching, and like frankly, there's a lot of long lines at what are essentially like scrying stations, but you're able to do so. You find like you kind of just like turn the corner just in time for a spot to open up, and what races don't I use that often? We'll say an Azamar has set up just a simple little like pool of water that she appears to be scrying into.
Excuse me. Is it a dude or a woman?
That's a good question. Evens man, odds female. Evens man, yes.
Excuse me, sir. I need to send a message to someone I used to love.
To whom, my child?
I only know his first name. It's Yori.
Can you describe him for me?
About half head taller than I am, black hair, dark eyes, clothes much older and more ragged than my own. Carries around an old woodsman's axe. We didn't talk much.
I see. I will attempt it. This d20 roll is the woodsman's will save. The woodsman fails.
Oh.
Hard.
So very hard. Yeah.
Boom!
Yeah. The Azamar leans down and waves his hands over the pool and begins incanting. And yeah, Yori appears. What shall we tell him?
Well, I need to get in contact with a druid circle from the Order of the Leaf, or really anyone who'll listen.
I see.
If anyone could hold their ear long enough to commit them to a cause, it would be him.
I see. Very well. And the Azamar points his hand, well, his finger, not just his whole hand, just pop! No, points his pointer finger down at the water, and he repeats what you say. Yori looks up, looks kind of confused, and then he like nods gruffly once, and you can't hear him, but you can hear the that you know he would give, and he just kind of like turns himself like 90 degrees from the direction he was walking and begins lumbering off that direction. Will there be anything else?
No, that should be all. Thank you.
In service to the Dawnflower. And like the Azamar.
Do I owe you anything?
Your service to the cause is more than enough.
Uh-oh.
Well, they already had that.
We know, my child.
Oh.
Alright, so Lucia approaches the super buff elfin man who's got Draugr. Like, they're kind of like, they follow behind him like 5 or 10 feet. What you got, Donald?
Okay, so he the elfin. Okay, I need
Yeah.
to make note of this.
Okay, he's probably like, he's taller than Enderling is. He's probably like, make a knowledge, local will be fine. Knowledge local check. Yes, the best kind of.
Make a knowledge measurements check.
Make a knowledge ruler. Well, according to this, you're this many pips. Okay, you get the feeling this guy, like, he's so tall and so burly. As you get a little closer to him, it's probably more like he's kind of like walking with a little bit of like a forward, like not like a great ape, but he kind of like leans forward a little bit with bad posture. But he's probably more like 9.5 feet tall, and you get the feeling this guy's probably a half giant.
Even better. I see. You have quite the company.
What of it, little one?
May I ask what is your name?
What is his name? I hadn't named him. This is just entirely off my butt.
Insert.
Clark.
My name is Clark Gable.
Okay, no. Need to have a better alternate name. So he is.
Clark Gable.
So
Good.
he is not. So he's not insert. Not a Clark Gable. I am quite impressed.
I am
with your
Gunnald.
mind-
Little one.
Go.
Uh,
What are you?
Gunnald.
Name?
Donald?
With a G.
Damn it, Tommy.
It popped out of my head. For some reason, I thought I had to pick
Oh
that
wait,
one.
Gunnald.
Gunnald.
Okay,
Gunnald.
cool. Mayor Gunnald, I see you're quite the accomplished wizard there with the Dwarves there.
He looks at you and like his eyes bore holes through your skull, but he says nothing.
Would you like to have a seat at the table?
He continues to just not a word.
Okay, so do I know what he does exactly besides just teleport for the group?
You can make a check.
Okay, so knowledge local, I guess.
Yeah, go for it. I mean, he's obviously a wizard. You get the feeling that like this area of spellcasting might not be his forte.
So, can I guess what type of arcane school, using my general knowledge of the arcane schools?
I will say definitely not necromancy. Probably a little more towards the lines of like evocation, transmutation, that kind of thing.
Cool.
Or actually,
cool.
his school of magic might be more like the great sword hanging from his back, that kind of idea. He has the ability to cast clearly, but it might not be his like primary modus operandi.
So probably Mangus or some type of a martial arcane caster I can think of. So,
It's
I'm
possible.
yeah. I noticed you can cast some type of I cannot speak today. Ugh, uh, okay, begin again. I
Zombie got
noticed
your tongue?
you're. Okay, go down. I noticed you're quite a good caster. I'm just curious. Where do you actually? What type of caster are you? I've seen my share of a magus so far. Clerics, alchemists so far.
Make a diplomacy check. I will make my will save. I probably add about like that. Yeah, that seems fair. Well, that's awkward. He you are you trying to flirt with him? I'm not trying to make it awkward, but
I want to get to know him a bit more to see if
So
he
you
is
are.
potential romance material.
Yeah.
all right.
Get it,
There's-
Donald.
Yeah, Tommy, this is your fault. You describe him to be quite the attractive person and not the Clark Gable, so I brought the bait.
Clark Gable will be pissed.
It's the undead that got you, though. We know.
Yeah, he just kind of like glaring down at you. I have no interest with you and your kind. Not all of us can be bought with so many silver.
Okay, how about
I do my
we-
service to the All Father, and that is all you need to know.
How about we become friends?
Make another diplomacy check.
Careful, if you nat one, he's going to stop you. Oh,
Okay, that was pretty good. What do I want to do with this?
you're going to have to nat 20 to get in his pants, though.
That
So
is
that's
something.
the title for today's video.
Are we fucked only if you nat 20?
Yes.
This is the part where Adam would say that we are adults who use adult language and viewer discretion is advised. Thanks, Dad. Anyway,
Thanks.
Thanks, Father.
he gunneled, and I'm kind of regretting choosing that, but I had to. It was like with Medea. You have to take that name. We can become friends if you. What does he want from you? That's an even better question. He has pretty much everything he could possibly get.
Little half giants.
Little like quarter giants. So that's
Quarter
just
giant.
exceptionally tall people. The Chelish like to buy our friendship, and he kind of like picks up a obviously not very empty at all coin purse. He's kind of my coin purse is looking a little light. He throws it at your feet. How much is my friendship worth to you, little
Let's
Chelish
see.
woman?
Okay, so
wait.
you.
When does this cross the line of prostitution?
When Pogue shows up.
Weren't we just on a bit about how money and honor?
Pogue is sitting there giggling.
Okay, so
I
I want to do a sense motive to see what is the appropriate amount.
All right, yeah, go for it.
Pogue leans in and says, "Do you want him for the night or just for an hour?"
I will see what I can get out of him, and I whisper this to you.
Off that
Yep.
sense motive check, the amount of information and friendship you get out of this individual will depend on the amount of gold you're willing to give him. But again, like, he's not as hurting for money as he said he is. You kind of get the feeling he's just screwing with you.
Ooh, in a fun way.
Not in a fun way, in a derisive way.
So he wants to have friendship for money. A material person for my character, material heart.
No, I
Nice,
just keep
so-
running right into this, don't I?
Sorry. This is what happens when you have a fall into this pit trap,
Yeah.
Lucia.
An evil. It's what happens when you have an evil, churlish noblewoman.
You're playing to your crowd, Tommy.
I am. Yeah, I'm doing great.
Okay,
The
so
best.
using what I know about him, would 500 gold be sufficient to gain his friendship?
Try another sense motive check.
Try adding a 0 to that.
Okay, I'm using my hero point.
Whew. All right, deal. Is that for a reroll, or do you want to make that 8 of 12?
Reroll.
Okay. Go for it. Woohoo!
Yes, I'd be better.
You get the feeling you're going to need considerably more money.
So, what about 1,000? Slightly better?
The Ulfin
Or
who
more.
served in, like, retainer to House LaCroix were paid tens of thousands of gold a week. That kind of, like, you're, like, lowballing hard. I don't think you're lowballing hard on purpose, but, like, you get the feeling you're lowballing real hard.
So, can I picture that his friendship would cost me more than it's actually worth?
Make a sense motive check. As I quickly realize that this has changed, and I will change it back. Bam. It's possible. This guy's probably, like, again, he's probably just screwing with you. He also, like, even before you showed up, he was kind of uncomfortable, and you're not sure as to the why of it.
Sounds like another sense motive check.
It's possible. Well, you can make
Okay.
these sense motive checks too. I see your roll 20 has crashed. Blah, blah, if you would like me
My
to roll
whole
it.
computer crashed.
That was
Okay,
rough.
I roll again just to see why he's uncomfortable.
Okay, sure.
Oh,
Oh, shit.
Oh, shit. Okay, he's uncomfortable because Lucia is not nearly offering enough money. Not even close.
Okay, so
is that based
How
off
about-
of the nat 1?
Yep, yes it is.
okay, so let's see. I probably don't have enough money to buy his time for the time being, so I'm going to hold on to the money for the time being. Once I have more money, I will. I will take you up on your offer in the future, Mayor Garnot.
Like your
Garnot.
name, but with a GU and a double N.
Yeah, it is hard to pronounce Garnod. I
Yeah.
mean, if it was any other letter, it would be a bit more easier. But a G-O-N, a bit hard to
GUN.
pronounce all the.
G-U-N,
Yeah.
so it's like Gunnled.
So he's just kind of like,
Oh,
just,
oh,
and he
Garnod.
turns back to his business. He actually probably promptly teleports away. So I've heard from a Francis, I've heard from a Donald, I haven't heard from a Sarah or much of a Van.
I just after smirking and stuff, I blew her chances, so I apologize. I come up, I say, and trying to not to laugh. I'm sorry, Miss LaCroix. It's I think I might have blown your chance this time, but
Well,
there'll be others.
True. I definitely like him. He is quite. If he can control Draugr like that, I wonder how powerful he is with his sword.
How he can control you.
I hint at his martial combat, not his other.
Not his other combat.
Yeah.
Yes.
Pogue loses it at that point. He can't hold it anymore. He just dies laughing.
And you would probably, knowing Lucia so far, this is probably her first potential actual romance interest.
Right.
Probably, yeah.
Well, once he slows down, Lucia has a crush. A crush.
I've never felt this way before.
Yeah.
Lucy actually chuckles at this.
Good.
I go back to my meal and continue talking to my apprentice about how's life for him so far.
All right, he kind of just like continues burping and eating and eating and burping.
Okay, I would begin to teach him some
Oh, fuck.
proper tape. I would begin to teach him proper table manners to a
Sounds
certain
like a
extent.
check to me.
Okay,
I did it,
diplomacy.
Mom.
Joe, I think.
Yes, I made it back. Yeah.
You made it back. All right. A bunch of really important stuff happened that involved Joe, and he was gone, and I didn't realize it, so I'm going to quickly go back and quickly exposition. A necromancer who was clearly often moved past you guys. Donald tried to get with him, so that's funny. But also, he was flanked by a couple of Draugr, and Draugr normally smell like the sea, but they were like the smell was extremely potent, and as they passed by you guys, you could see, like, the bits of like where the flesh was gone and there was bones. It appeared that like fingernails and toenails had been like melded in, like almost like seamlessly into the bone.
Yeah, I don't know what to do about that. Just going to observe for the moment.
Okay, well he's gone now. He is. Lucy
Yeah.
tried to get in his pants. It didn't pan out, and he aggressively teleported away.
So
It's probably for the best.
Yeah.
So Pogue waits for a moment, and he says to Enderling, he says, "You know that warrior king of yours from the homelands? He said to me, if you must, put the beast down. What does that mean?"
Were you talking? Did Colin talk to you?
Yeah,
What, did I
Colin
miss
Wren's
that?
been. You missed. What's the last thing you remember?
What's the last thing I remember?
Yeah, as if you
that
like
was,
hit your head and passed out.
That was like, I don't know, almost like 15 minutes ago.
Okay,
Not
so
15, 50.
gigantic heroes feast.
Yeah, that's the last thing I really remember.
A bunch of sneaky types and magic types. The long story short of it is Colin Wren has charmed all of the people responsible for mass teleporting the Taldor forces into like following him back here, where they've all been taken into custody.
Huh.
And it's like Taldor's not going to be teleporting forces in to help Kadira. The Cult of the Dawnflower and Mustafa have begun their assault on Kathir. You guys are heading north to Fort Legos to fortify for the eventual like. When the Taldans like take the long way and march through the Borderwood, along with Malik and his forces.
Where's Torvald?
He is not here.
Okay.
But like, well, make a sense motive check.
I need to reconnect this.
Oh yeah. Do you know what you add? I can just.
I think I add 2.
You add 2. You rolled a 13. Yeah. So.
That is poopy.
So. It's kind of weird that Torvald wouldn't be here because like everybody else is. Everybody in service to like the Eagle's Feather, the Cult of the Dawnflower, the farmers who were tired of being oppressed, and even like pretty much all of the Kadiran military has flipped and gone to your side. It's just like Kathir is under enemy control, and like there's some like border forts and like forts in the mountains that people have fallen back to. But like by and large, probably like 75-80% of the Kadiran military has joined the rebellion. And everybody's here, Torvald's not. That it doesn't necessarily mean foul play. It's probably more along the lines of like maybe he's just really busy. You note that like your parents aren't here either.
Okay. I will assume at the moment that is probably true.
Okay.
And I will wait until a better moment to investigate.
All right.
That's put down the beast. So he tells.
But Enderling, he was talking about you. He asked me in my head.
No, I figured he did.
Oh, that doesn't bug you?
Oh no, it bugs me a great deal. It's just that is Colin Wren here right now?
He is not.
No.
Well, then there's nothing we can do about it now.
Dude, I'm trying to watch your back.
I understand that, and thank you.
there anything else you need to tell us, man?
No.
Okay.
Is there something I'm missing?
No, I just why he'd want to or why he would say that it was necessary. It might be necessary to kill you, like, or something.
As far as I can, when did he tell you this?
When he was showing up with all these people, and he asked me if you were to be trusted.
I have no clue. I would say that there should probably be a bit of a warning given to Torvald, and well, considering that Mustafa is no longer seen as our leader, that it should also be given to Mercutio.
But what are we warning who about?
The fact that there's a possibility that Kalinran has not changed his ways exactly.
It sounded to me like he was warning us about you.
That sounds to me like a rather misguided young man is still trying to wheedle his way out of becoming a better person.
Okay. Your country.
Donald, can you make a perception check for me real quick? Or did we lose Donald too and all of this craziness? There he is. Okay. All right. When you were talking to Gunnold, and I know I picked the best name there, but when you were talking to Gunnold, you noticed that you never actually saw his hands. He kept them like in the folds of his robes or like behind his back when he's talking to you. Like, you're not entirely sure what that means, but like it just dawns on you that like it seems like that guy was trying to hide his hands from you.
This is a Princess
Ah,
Bride
cool.
thing.
Nope.
Cool. Hide his hands. I wonder what his hands got into recently, and not that
They
fight
probably
hall.
don't have any fingernails.
Ooh.
No.
Is
Could
my
I
first thought.
Could I think why he would hide his hands?
Some kind of check?
Knowledge, religion, I guess.
Sure, go for it.
But if he doesn't have hands?
He has robot hands.
Okay, so 29
Trying to hide his, like,
religion. Could I,
Eldrazi hand.
It's 29.
Yeah.
It's the lawful evil Asmodean in the party probably sees the ancient Ulfin culture and religion as just kind of like backwards hokum, essentially, and you get the feeling that it might have something to do with that backwards hokum. It's like necromancy is not common amongst the Ulfin, and he was super not comfortable with it. And it's like the only like real telling of anything like anybody coming back from the dead in their mythology happens when the warriors that are chosen by Odin come back to fight in the last battle, but you assume that doesn't mean horde of zombies. It's a really good check, and you're very sure it has something to do with that crazy backwater religion, but you just you don't know enough about it because that's how esoteric it is.
Would Enderling know about it?
That stands to reason.
Why didn't you ask Enderling?
Yeah.
Okay, I would ask Underling about Golden and the body language, especially his hands. What is up with that?
Why he would be hiding his hands?
I'm just curious. Generally, you don't hide your hands unless there is something wrong or you don't want to show your hands. So, is there a cultural reason he wouldn't have showed his hands?
Maybe he is ashamed of them? It is...
He's got little hands, half giant with teeny
He's
tiny
got little
T-Rex hands.
not showing your hands could be simply a sign of the fact that maybe they're mangled beyond recognition, or the fact that they are the hands of a non-warrior, a man who wishes he was a warrior, but he never obtained it. Or maybe he does have something to hide that isn't exactly religious.
I do appreciate this bit of advice, and I would thank you. And I would think this over. What could be on his hand that he is trying to hide? Tommy, this is your fault for having a NPC with a mystery backstory like this.
Oh, he doesn't have a mystery backstory. He has a kind of defined backstory that appeared out of nowhere because I felt it was appropriate.
That he hasn't finished making up.
No,
yet.
I finished making it up. It's just I didn't know exactly what I was doing with it. And I was like, let's do it here. Aha. Okay, so with that extra information, if you'd like to make another knowledge religion check, and Enderling is entitled to, like, for stuff that applies to his culture, he may treat it as though he is trained.
Okay, better 33.
Okay. It's still like you kind of like you cross the line from 29 to 30, so I'll say it succeeds. It's still a very very esoteric, very backwater hokum religion that, like, especially the Asmodean, who believes that, like, her god has a grand scheme for everything that will soon be unveiled and nothing can stop it. Ha ha ha. But Ennerling chimes in. It's possible and maybe even like probable if the Draugr that were following him had nails embedded in them, like you saw, that they could have come from it's a boat that it's called Naglfar. I'm probably mispronouncing that really hard, but it's a boat that's made entirely from the fingernails and toenails of the dead in ancient Elfin mythology, and during Ragnarok, it's foretold to sail forward to the last battlefield, carrying these like vast hordes that will do battle with the gods. It's like you kind of like between the two of you, it kind of like dawns on you that this guy might have been performing spells he considered probably just blatantly like blasphemy for the sake of pulling a couple bodies off the bone ship. If, like, when you die in Galarion, your soul hits the River of Souls and doodly doodly doo Pharasma, doodly doodly doo judgment. If that person's judgment was to make Naglfar, to pull his nails off and add them to the ship and build this great ship, if a necromancer denies someone their judgment, he can never reach that. By that same token, had he already reached it, he could be just kind of like off the ship and brought back to the material plane.
Cool. So he dabbled in the dark arts and necromancy. This is a perfect romance interest for Lucia.
But it's not because he wants power, it's for the greater good of everyone around him. You also assume, like, he's hiding his hands. You get the feeling that, like, they might be... Either he hasn't committed to removing his nails, and, like, it's kind of common up there when people die in the far north to remove nails from the body, so when they arrive at the ship, they can't help build it. Either maybe he, like, is just too much of a coward to do it, or maybe, like, his hands are just super bloody and mangled from, like, actively taking a knife under his fingernails and just, like, popping them off.
This is interesting and Lucia is complex by all this newfound information on Golden. So what does everyone else do?
Haven't heard a lot from Sarah. Is there anybody you'd like to talk to? Anything you want to do while this is all going on?
I don't think there's a whole lot of people I want to talk to right now.
Okay.
I'll talk to Marcella. She's on my shoulder. See what's up.
Okay.
Ask, like, how she's been.
Well, I totally screwed up and realized she's been with you that whole time, so you know exactly how she's been.
Oh, I do now.
Yeah, I forgot when we were divvying up the troops she was with you.
Well,
Because I take bad notes.
so I'll ask her how she's feeling.
She's probably pretty full. As you say this, her tongue kind of like out of her mouth as she grabs a bit of food and like back up into her mouth.
Gross.
She's a frog.
She's not disgusting.
That's racist against the frog people.
What?
She doesn't. She just continues to kind of just like happily eat. You get the feeling that she's just kind of happy that she doesn't have to worry about, at least for a little while, her life or the life of her friends being in jeopardy.
What?
Not to say that like Mustafa and the Cult of the Dawnflower aren't actively fighting and dying in Kathir right now.
I forgot what I was gonna say. Oh.
Nothing. You got nothing.
I was gonna say something, but I totally forgot what it was.
Boo. Okay. Well,
Distracted.
anybody else before we are after the 10 o'clock mark? So before we wrap up, anybody else want to do anything?
Nope. You know what Pogue's doing with Nira there.
Oh, I do.
Oh yeah.
Anybody else?
With us, I would assume we are resting up, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, I would probably begin to work on making the wish. I would begin working on making the wish scroll. So
Okay, a wish scroll is a little.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Yeah. Yes. This is.
Whoa.
Yeah, wish scroll. This is a part of the bigger plan I have in mind.
Okay, you will have to pay the gold cost for casting.
Yeah,
wish.
true. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. I just covering the in the not so pricey part now, so I have the gold to save up for it later.
Okay, well, I mean, like, yeah, no, you can make this roll. Okay, go ahead and roll. Now that you've used your hero point trying to seduce an Olfin man.
Yeah, so to make a scroll, that is the spellcraft.
Yeah, I believe so. I think it's 5 plus caster level.
Okay.
Or something like that. I'm going to double check that before I just hand you a scroll of wish at level 7.
I cannot cast it yet. I don't have the resources.
Scribe scroll Pathfinder.
It would be like 4,000 gold to make. So
Okay. So you can't make it right now, is what you're telling me?
I can write it up, but I cannot use it.
Okay.
Yeah, so I just need the resources to actually cast the actual spell, but that's down the road.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so go ahead and make that roll. It is a spellcraft check.
So it's 5 plus caster level, so I would beat that.
Okay, so I'm just like I'm putting all the stuff together. Caster level is weird because that's probably 18.
Yeah, so caster level, so yeah, I would beat that. So it would be like 23 right on.
But you can't cast. There's other stuff going on too, though.
No, it's down the road. I will use it.
I'm reading. Hang on. And we've gone over this like a million times. Which you got that, and then I think there's special rules for scroll. I want to say you just failed.
Yeah, I can just save the gold if you don't. I can just save the gold later.
Okay. Well, you just roll. I'm trying to figure out if that failed, and I think it did because you can't cast wish is the thing.
No.
Otherwise, you passed.
Yeah, not at the current moment, but that's down the road. But I'm just covering one of the less pricey item parts of the bigger plan.
So then what happens is you failed the check because you can't cast wish, so the DC is increased by 5 and to be 28, and you rolled a 23. You can, if you guys want to throw action points on it.
I have a action point, so use that.
Okay, sure. Need a 5 or a 6.
Better roll a 6.
Suddenly we're playing everyone as John.
Okay, yeah, I messed up. I botched it.
Anybody want to help him? Action points are communal.
I don't have any.
Yes, you do. No, you don't. I lied. Actually,
Yes, you do. No, you don't.
Frankly, everyone who's not Sarah receives 1 action point for role-playing during the downtime. Sorry to be terrible, but you didn't do anything, hun, so I cannot reward you.
Wait, so do I have an extra one, or...?
You do, but you can only use it once. But, like, Van could help you, Joe could help you, Kane could help you.
Okay, cool.
If they choose to.
What are you doing
go
with a
ahead.
wish spell?
Yeah, that becomes the question. I wish all my friends were zombies.
I would
Oh,
use
no.
it. I would use it down the road to do a miracle for the rebel cause.
Enderling's action
You would
point
use
is enough.
wish to cast miracle?
Well, I said do a miracle. I said not. I don't cast miracle. It's a do a miracle.
So it takes a day for every 1,000 gold. How much does the material component for wish cost? A lot.
A lot.
10,000.
So it's going to take him 1,000 that many days. It'll take him many days. It'll take 10 days. Well, no, it's worth 25
Take him
days.
1,000 days.
1,000 days. No, it takes him 25 days, and he's 1 day in.
Okay.
Getting there. All right.
Your familiar is not a valet, is it?
Nope.
What would that do for him?
It increases the amount you can craft by 1,000 per day.
Oh, wow. So does the favored class bonus of a dwarf wizard. You can actually get that going pretty fast. But anyway, if nobody else has anything to do, since some of us have to go to bed, no fan. This is probably where we call it for the night.
Yep.
Unless anybody wants to chime in real quick. Yes, no?
I think I'm good. I'm gonna
All-
cast Druid Cove, and I'm gonna sleep there.
Deal. All right. Thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe for more videos, and we'll see you next time.